From Disney Animation and the ground.
Howdy, everybody. Welcome back to Z Show. Of course, I'm your host, Z. Easy enough. Much love, everybody. Climb aboard. It's Friday. For what it's worth, it's Friday. So there seems to be a Friday vibe. We know that. Around these YouTube streets. So it is what it is. We'll take it for what it's worth, like anything. Why not? Each day is unique. Each day is an opportunity for new beginnings. Forward, onward. Good tidings. Good tidings all. I invited a guest over tonight. Special guest, because he's special. A guest not unknown to us, but a guest nonetheless, because I invited him. And hopefully I'll see him here pretty soon. And I'll prep you guys for the topic when the guest arrives. So that'll be the topic, as you see on the screen. And like I said, I invited a special guest, and I'm sure others will come up and join us, but I do want to focus on my guest regarding this topic. We're going to dive into it a little bit tonight. Try to work some things out. Try to process some things. Process emotions, process feelings, thoughts, beliefs, notions, and the such. Sometimes those things are all kind of mixed into one weird, crazy, goofy conglomeration of bullshit. So when my guest arrives, we'll get into it. But I just wanted to prep you, you early comers here to Z Show. And again, it's Friday. So I guess this will be my third Friday show. Well, my third Friday evening show. When I was doing the morning show, Friday really kind of seemed like any other day. But now I realize when I'm doing this evening thing, there's a whole nother Friday vibe to it. So, kind of is what it is. And we're just going to go with it. It's an experience. I had in other news, I had a conversation with one Mr. Flatzoid today. No, Emilios, I'll put the title back up again just so you can see it. It's a sincere discussion about Paul. Not with Paul. It's about Paul. The words were chosen there carefully. Words have meanings. Because it's often difficult to discuss somebody when they're there, especially when they're Paul. So it's about Paul. And like I said, we'll have a special guest to really dive in. And I put the word sincere for a reason. Because that's my intention, is to have a sincere discussion. No. We'll see if we can maintain. It's not always easy to maintain sincerity here, especially given the various characters and different personalities. Yeah, Dr. Eval says, what are you saying about Flatzoid? Dr. Eval says, Flatzoid has always been polite and cordial. Yeah, I agree. So I invited him over to the Z Show. I'm going to try to line him up for next week, depending on his schedule, Mr. Evals, because I have the same evaluation. Like anybody, I try to use my discernment in my interactions with people and in my evaluations of people. And something told me to reach out to Flatzoid. So I'm gonna go with it. So I popped on his show earlier, and he was quite accommodating and courteous and respectful, and I do feel as though it will be fruitful. What do you think about that, Flatzoid Nuba? I'm sure you have a take. I just see you throwing laughing emojis up, but you never know what. Probably laughing at Heidi. It's Friday night for Heidi. It's Friday night. Heidi usually just maintains with like a like Heidi maintains with like a maintenance amount of cannabis throughout her day, but on Friday nights she really ups it. It's party time for Heidi. She takes 3 hits of the bowl instead of 2. Sean Osborne thinks Flatzoid is Nuba. Now that would be a twist if I ever saw one. That'd be a twist. But I'm trying to get Nuba's opinion on Flatzoid. Let's see if he'll give us one. He said, nah, not Flatzoid. What's the matter with him? Oh, you're saying you're not Flatzoid. All right. I'm misunderstanding Nuba. But we have to remember, it's not Friday night for him. It's Saturday morning sometime for Nuba. So I'm guessing it's like 8:30 in the AM for you, Nuba, give or take. It's so weird to even think about. Mr. 1-1, what does Flatzoid's voice have to do with anything? What is he? Like, what kind of British is he? Is he just British? Is he South African? What the fuck? What is he? Anybody know where Flatzoid's from? Yeah, Run Boston Bear. I spoke to Flatzoid today, and I'm gonna try to get him on here for next week, but that's pending. Run Boston Bear. Nuba says he's retired, so he's not really watching a lot of people. Well, he's something, Mr. 1-1. I'm trying to place his accent. He's something. So, is he, I don't know. We'll find out. I don't know where he is. So, we'll figure it out. What do I know? Yeah, I get it, Nuba. You're probably like me. You've glitched out on reality. I get it. It happens at some point. It's probably a healthy thing. There's too much information out there. At some point, one has to contract back inwards to themselves, where the information doesn't really matter at some point. That's probably the best point to be, Nuba. Because once that point is achieved, you can then integrate the information in a fair and balanced way, and potentially free of bias, or as much as one can be free of bias. It's the kind of point where you go, okay, I'm not arrogant enough to think I could figure this thing out, because it appears to be infinite. We appear to be living in infinity, really. So there's a particular hubris and arrogance to think that, one can know a thing or know what a true thing is. So you're probably in a good spot, Nuba. Nuba says he's too busy for it all. Well, see, my impression for you, Mr. Nuba, is you are probably existing as a singularity, meaning to say, Nuba, everything seems busy and hard for the modern person because my opinion is that we have been engineered into a state of individuality where we exist as like these atomized beings that are only interacting with other atomized beings in a very controlled, in a very curated manner through the dictates of the state and pop culture. I feel as though if we existed in a more natural state of nature, this idea of being too busy wouldn't exist, because you would be part of a community, you would be part of a family, you would be part of the whole. And then there's no work then. It's not work and not work. There's no work versus vacation, or as you probably say, holiday, Nuba, because I know you guys say holiday. To me, these are artificial constructs. And I think it's purposeful, really. Anyway, it's my 2 cents on the matter. What's up, London Man? So, London Man, in case you missed it, I invited a special guest over, which I think you know. And this will be the title when my special guest gets here. It's on the screen, so he should be here shortly. Because we want to have a sincere discussion in a real way. Because, speaking for myself, my endeavor here, I want my endeavor here to be one where I'm projecting an energy of goodwill, an energy of good tidings, consciousness, and an energy of love. Of course, there's ups and downs. Of course, there's emotions, but if we're to do this in any responsible way, it must be done with a particular mindset. And the mindset has to be towards productive things, functional interactions. Now, we can't ever control how people respond to us, react to us, treat us. But we certainly have measures of control over our actions, our behaviors, and certainly our intentions. Interesting title, RT. Interesting title. RT coming out as he is certainly a valued contributor here to Z Show. I'm still waiting on that Rising Earth discussion, RT, because I know you want to appeal to my authority as an expert on the vestibular system regarding your view of the impossibility of rising Earth. And I know you're surprised that I'm taking a different view on that, but I'd like to be able to explain it to you. I think it'll be a good discussion. When you're ready, RT. I know you have to be in particular mood and state of consciousness before you come up. I get it. I understand. It's fine. That way says we have to go forward to the good old days. Well, I don't know. We all have a tendency to romanticize the past. It's probably easier. It's probably an easy thing to do. And I agree. There's a lot to be said about that. About moving forward to the good old days. I would agree. In my estimation, people had more humanity, even just a few decades ago. It'd be foolish to ignore the great impact of the information age, and particularly the internet and social media. I don't think we could ignore the profound impact that this technology has had on human culture and human interaction. So I agree. There's something to be said about the good old days, but on the flip side, I'm trying not to over romanticize those good old days, because I think that's an easy thing to do. Let's see what RT said. RT said, yes, a day next week. We should have a discussion about Rising Earth theory and also the international date line. Anomalies, peculiarities. Yeah, we can talk about the international date line, which I believe is like runs through the Pacific Ocean, if I'm not sure, RT. And can we even call it a line? I mean, it's a line, but it's a crooked line. It's certainly not a straight line, RT. That's one of the things about it. Lindsay's here. Ooh, and she's got another picture. Gives me another reason to click on her. See, Lindsay, why do you have to do this to me? You changed your picture. Now I have to focus on it. And now I have to get completely off my game, off my mindset. I was in a pretty good groove here. And now, like I'm known to do, I'm completely distracted by the fairer of the species, lovely Lindsay. What do you mean no intro today, Nuba? You know I always do my you always know I do this little opening monologue before I kick into the intro. What are you talking about, dude? What's wrong with you? Lindsay says, Z, I was thinking about GPS today. How could GPS work if we're not global or on a globe? Well, Lindsay, that is a huge conversation. One that I'm certainly willing to have. All right, Nuba, don't make me ban you again. It's been months since we've had to do this. It's been months and months since we've done this, Nuba. This intro is not any longer than my other intros. Heidi knows exactly that this is the same as all my intros. All right, here's Jack. Cool. Jack, all right. I'm going to take a lead from Nuba and do my intro, and we're going to get our special guest, Mr. Jack Talcott, up. I'm putting a link in, but it's only for Jack. If anybody wants to come up, you can, but you're going to have to wait for me and Jack to talk, or you can come up in a bit. But I appreciate it, Nuba. You're excited for Z Show. It gets crazy here, but you know we have to do a slow burn. Otherwise, it's too nuts. It's too nuts right off the bat, and it's too much. And then I end up getting a headache and things. I don't need that. I don't need that. Links for Jack. Jack, I don't know if you want to stay live on your channel, do whatever you want to do, man, and you could just tap in and stream, or I'll let you decide what you want to do, Jack. All right. Let me get into my opening. But anyway, Lindsay, before I forget, there's a lot of ways you could have GPS without global. There's a lot of ways to have things in the sky that aren't floating in the near perfect vacuum of zero gravity fake space. Right? There's ways to have other things like in the sky that can function as GPS. We'll talk about it, Lindsay. I appreciate the question, though, sincerely. And just so you know, I'm increasingly more and more attracted to you as time goes on. I just want you to know that. So, right, Joe Cole. Joe Cole heard me say slow burn, and he's like, that's my cue. I'm the king of the slow burn. You told me what kind of wraps you use, Joe Cool. I forget. You didn't tell me blunt wraps. I'm not sure you use those. Maybe those white owls or those white doves, I think they're called. I'm not sure. Right, Lindsay, you just proved the globe. Good job. She said GPX works because we are global. Good job, Lindsay. You proved it. You're the one. You did zero research and you conjectured and you just totally destroyed everything that I like, everything that I like accept as my reality. Interesting, Rose. I didn't hear that one. Yeah, the Talcottian one is coming. I don't know if he's prepping his audience. So, somebody's telling me Jack has a shill with him named Nick Volt. Well, I don't know who Nick Volt is, so yeah. It's all right, Lindsay. Lindsay, you don't have to worry about like the thinking and all that stuff. Like you don't have to think. You just keep looking like you do, Lindsay. Just have the discernment to find like a good guy who could think for you. That's your problem. You think you need to like make decisions and like use logic and reasoning, which you're obviously biologically incapable of. So it's okay. You don't have to think, Lindsay. If you and I get together, I'll just do all the thinking for both of us. You wouldn't have to do much. I mean, I would expect like frequent trips to Pilates, yoga, stuff like that. Like you'd have to work like that, but you wouldn't have to do much after that. All right, my guest is here. So let me do my intro and let me get my guest up. Please hold, Mr. Talcott, just for a few moments. Entertain your audience. And I'm going to do my little intro because Nuba is a creature of habit and he needs it. So let me do the right thing. But I don't want to keep Jack waiting because I know he's live. So let me get into it. We'll do a quick intro here. Where's my segment music? Let's get the opening going. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate you being here. Mr. Jack Talcott has taken time out of his stream to come over here and have a conversation with us. So we welcome him again, as always. Of course, we welcome Jack. All right, let me get this going. My apologies. Rose, where are you when I need you? Nuba's not going to cut it as like a de facto Z producer. He's just not. He has too many issues going on. Frankly, Rose, I'm not sure you can cut it because you are spread way too thin. Just diabolically, like manipulating multiple people's lives. But somehow you make it work, Rose. As thinly spread as you are in your life, you seem to make it work. All right, let's get the show on the road. Jack, do you want me to bring? Can your audience hear me right now, Jack? They can? All right, let me do this. All right, everybody. Hola, official opening commencing in 3, 2. Good evening, everybody. Greetings and salutations. You've found your way back to Z Show. That's right, everyone. It's the end of the rainbow, the bottom of the rabbit hole. And as always, we are broadcasting live and in living color around the level horizontal realm. That's right. This realm called Earth. Beautiful Mother Earth. We love you. I love you. Everybody, we have a special show tonight. As always, it's Friday vibes. We know what Friday vibes means. It means things get a little kooky, but I'm going to ask everybody, keep it above the belt. Keep it above the belt. There's ways to do things and there's ways not to. Mr. Talcott knows how to do things, and we're about to bring him up in a moment. As far as everybody else, strap in. I'm sure it's going to be a wild ride. Let me greet the chat really quick. Who's here? Steve, the HMFIC in the house. R Pool, much love. Divine Spark, Heidi, 313, much love. R Pool in the house. That's right. Talcott waiting in the wings. Sugar Pie, Honey Bun, much love. Honey Buns. Nick Volt, much love. Somebody just came in and called you a shill, but I don't know you, so I will reserve judgment. Lindsay Smith, of course. Sean Alkey, much love. RT. My man, Angeline Joy. What a pleasure. Maybe we'll see you tonight, Angeline. I have a theme song for Angeline, by the way. So Maybe I'll get to try out Angeline's theme song. I thought long and hard about it. Queen of Swords, much love, Queen of Swords, as always. Pathetic Mandela Psychosis. Interesting name. Much love. The Rebuttal Bar, a.k.a. London Man in the House. Lanzara Tim. Joe Moore, Shalom, Shalom. Mr. 101. Sean Osborne. Rose 777. Marky Rizzo. Lex Anamata. And so many more. All right. So without any further ado, let me bring up Mr. Jack Talcott. Audience, I invited Jack here tonight. For those of you who may have missed my show last night, towards the end, we had a very special visitor, one Mr. Paul Unslaved. Jack was here for the interaction, and I was thinking about it today, and I said, what do I want to do with my show tonight? And I said, I want to have a sincere discussion about Paul. And when I thought of it, I said, there's really only one person that I could have this discussion with, and that's Jack. Now, I'll invite all you up here afterwards to talk about it, but I actually want to sit down and focus on Paul with Jack to have a sincere discussion. Try to get away from the shtick, try to get away from the bravado and the machismo, and have a sincere discussion. So without further ado, thank you, Mr. Talcott. Welcome back to Z Show. Good, sir.
Hey, blessings, and thank you very much. As I'm considering this, I was debating, Z, on what would be the best approach for this. What would be the most appropriate and productive? I'm inclined to end my other stream, have the audience just join over here. I think that might be the best way.
You do whatever you want to do, Jack. It's your call, man.
I think I am. And
all
so
right.
if I'm doing this correctly, thank you, brothers and sisters. I'm actually going to skip the outro as well, but invite you all viewing over there on my stream to join over this way. And God bless. Thank you all. All right.
All right, Jack. Well, you're still on, and it tells me Jack Talcott and their viewers just joined. Say hello. So I just got that.
Yeah,
Greetings and salutation to the Mr. Jack Talcott audience. Welcome to Z Show on Zetetic Warrior channel. That's me. I'm Z. And if you like the content, feel free to subscribe. Much love, everybody. Thanks, Jack. I appreciate that. Okay, so as you see on the screen, and as I mentioned, I want to have a sincere discussion about Paul, and we'll invite other people up to join in if they choose. And somebody asked me, is Paul going to be here? Now, I want to have a discussion about Paul. Whether or not Paul joins later, we can decide, but that's not the purpose of it, all right? Because I feel as though at this point in all of our stories, it's time for a sincere discussion. So I'm going to try to put the shtick away, and that's why I'm on camera right now. So I can't do any goofy voices or go into any like weird, like comedy skits, okay? Because I want to have a sincere discussion about Paul. As Rose said, you were up last night, but you did not get, let me just read what Rose says. She said, Jack was up last night. Jack didn't get to speak enough last night, and he was very patient. So that's why you're here, all right? All right, so for anybody who missed last night, Paul hasn't been to my channel in a while, nor have I been to his in a while. It's been months and months and months. The last conversation Paul and I had was on another channel, our good friend Patrick, OTW News, and it was brief. People who've been following us know that, okay? So I just wanted to prep some of the audience who's not aware. The conversation was interesting. I thought there was interesting moments. There was maybe some productive aspects of it, but certainly not as maybe we would hope for. At least I would hope for, all right? Why don't we start there? First, what was your take on last night, Paul's appearance here last night? And then maybe we can get into a little history and then move forward.
I love it. Thank you. I agree with everything you said about it. The timing of some sincere conversations. And what I saw last night was something sincerely I honor. Um, when I saw you a long time ago, Z, I admired your gift, your skill of communication. And then I met Rose too. And so to have that compassion and that level of comprehension being offered and shared with Paul, I believe it was the right step. I believe it was the right thing. And I don't believe, well, I know things can change. I know things can work. And frankly, without trying to offer insult, I think it is time for kind of an intervention with many people alive today.
All right. So this is a good timing for this conversation then. You and I are of similar mindset regarding this.
Glad to hear.
I'm going to look at it like this. When I think of Paul, I have a loving intent and a feeling towards him. And I suspect you have the same thing. All right. Now, to say why, I could probably say why in a lot of ways. In some ways, I'll say this. I feel as though he stands for something, and that's admirable to me, Jack, is that he stands on principles, values, and ethics that he holds dear. And I believe what he says in regard to these things. I believe he's actually willing to probably give his life, or at least his freedom, in service of the things that he believes in. So I have a respect level for him. Would you share that thought?
To a great degree, yes. I believe he's committed to what he says. However,
It's all right. We're trying to be sincere, Jack. So whatever you feel is sincere,
Well, and that's just it. I don't want to disparage or insult where it's not accurate, but I've seen such duplicity and such such contradiction between words and actions that, if it came down to it, I almost think that he might be one to rat others out, to make himself, whatever excuse is for himself.
Okay, so I have some thoughts like that too. Now, one of the reasons I'm hesitant to, I'm not even going to say that. I'll say this. I'm just going to springboard on what you said.
Okay.
I, in my heart of hearts, wouldn't put it past Paul to use some maneuvers to institute subterfuge on people that he sees as competition or otherwise. I wouldn't put it past him. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm right, but I don't trust him like that. Meaning to say, I would never in a million years, Jack, entertain that type of behavior coming from you. I would never think that if Jack saw somebody as a social media competition, that Jack would enable people to, or encourage people to perform in real life actions. If I'm to be honest, I will agree with you. I don't hold that same idea towards Paul. I don't trust him like that.
We're seeing him do it. We're seeing him encourage people to go out and antagonize or attack or, thwart, report to, dude, some of these characters, man, this is crazy.
And whether or not he wants to take responsibility for that aspect of his content, his broadcast, his persona, his presentment, whether or not he wants to take accountability for it is besides the point, because this appears to be happening across multiple levels. All right. Now, I know I have no ill intentions towards Paul. When I broadcast, my mindset is not anywhere in that arena. My mindset is on presenting particular topics and having engaging interaction with people who come to my show, right? Because my thought is, if you come here to interact with me, then we will have a particular interaction based off whatever circumstances that, are presented. But I have no intention to go out and perform different actions. And I don't see the same thing coming from that camp. All right. So I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm glad we addressed it, because I do think that is a component of that. And I will corroborate that whatever experiences that you just basically alluded to that you may have experienced, I've had similar things towards me that I don't really need to get into. All right. And it's from that energy. It's from that, you know what I'm saying? It's from that environment, that universe that he has. All right. I've previously categorized his presentation and many of his words as reckless. All right. Because he speaks often in a way where audacious, sometimes severe claims are made without evidence or support of those claims. They're done so in an inflammatory way. They're done so in a way that elicits emotion in many of his dedicated followers that may not understand the difference between whether or not he's presenting it seriously or as a joke. And I'll also say this, sometimes I don't even know if he knows if it's a joke or serious. All right.
I honestly think he doesn't think things through as much as he believes he does. The key I saw, brother, yesterday, you hit on the component. I don't believe Paul understands cooperation. And like it or not, by his talent and by his gift and by his choices in the YouTube platform, he is a leader. But he has the confused mindset of the world that he wants to rebel against. And he's got the idea of being a boss. But if he could learn how to cooperate, Z, dude, if Paul could learn how to cooperate with people like you and me, which really should not be that hard to cooperate with people like you or me. I mean, I haven't had a lot of difficulties with you so far, I don't think. Cooperating, at least.
Well, why don't we get into that a little bit? Because
all right,
what I see, this is my opinion, when I observe Paul's behaviors and his communication skills and his interpersonal relationships, that what I see here, okay? Now, we also have to realize that we're live. We may not be seeing the authentic Paul. They're always, when you present, by nature, there's always going to be a bit of a persona involved, all right? There's always going to be that. You wouldn't do everything online that you would in real life, okay? You wouldn't take a shower online. You're not going to show your most intimate moments. People present with different degrees of authenticity. But here's what I'm going to say when I see his behavior, and I will extend it. I've had a very few personal interactions with Paul, but what I've noticed in his personal communications are the same behaviors that he presents with online. Okay, so what I observe, and this is my opinion, is that it seems as though he is relating with people in the way that he knows how, almost to say that it comes off as quite dysfunctional. It comes off as very aggressive. Comes off as confrontational. But I think in some strange way, it's his method of trying to connect. And that's kind of really where I want to take the conversation, Jack, because I think he's sincere in his attempts here, but I think his communication style and I think his relationship style is simply dysfunctional and we're seeing the results of it. So in an effort to secure some degree of camaraderie and, dare I say, even love, he's ironically repelling people away from him because his behavior is really abusive when we really get down to it. It's very toxic and very abusive, and it's very difficult to form any relationships with him. So I could only imagine this is a pattern in his life, right? I do think right now he's looking at his life and he feels as though he's overcome these things, but my impression is he has not. Go ahead, floor's yours.
Yes, absolutely. It's a wonderful example because all of us carry these varying levels of arrogance and victim mindset. And we see quite a bit of that with our friend Paul. I believe his intentions are right. Right? I don't believe he's really been vicious, even though his bark is pretty nasty and those words, man, sometimes they bite. But I believe he's doing as he has learned. And unfortunately, in this world, it's real easy for people to get these echo chambers and these little groups of enablers. And that's what I see happening. He's been enabled his whole life with these patterns of arrogance, and could be because people didn't understand him or they didn't want to even spend the time to deal with him. But you know this, pushing people away, it keeps us from getting hurt.
Right.
I think that's what he's doing.
I agree. I think that's what it is. I think what happens is he's so fearful of abandonment that what he does is he creates a dynamic in which he will test somebody's loyalty, quote unquote, to such a point that it becomes untenable. And he will destroy the relationship before he actually has a chance to feel the connection. And that's what I'm noticing about him. And I think it's to his detriment, and he's not understanding how self-destructive it is.
He's like a high bottom drunk. This is what my life was too. You know, I had these self-destructive patterns. Mine was drinking. His is just arrogance and cockiness, maybe, but had these patterns that were sincerely self-destructive, and I didn't see it. And people, in my case, people weren't really calling me out. They were complaining about it. Well, maybe that's what he's feeling. Maybe he feels like people are just complaining instead of, until he accepts that part of his behavior is a problem, he's going to keep fighting against those people who care and who want him to improve.
So I want to bring this up. Steve, the HMFIC, says, Paul's a nobody. Why talking about him? No, you see, it's not that he's a nobody. Paul obviously wants a relationship with me, and he wants a relationship with Jack. Paul is a brother. Paul is out here being vulnerable, and he's exposing himself to scrutiny, and he's exposing himself to some degree of threat and hazard, at least from the federal government, based on the things that he says. So we can't discount what he's doing here and just throw the baby out with the bathwater because of his behaviors. And it'd be easy to turn our backs on Paul and say, oh, fuck Paul, and go fuck yourself. But he's obviously reaching out for something. Jack sees it and I see it.
That's it.
So, yeah, we can write anybody off, okay? It's easy to write people off. It would be easy for me to write Paul off and just keep going, all right? And it'd probably be easy for Jack to do the same thing. but we're having this conversation in an active effort to try to basically put it all out there and see where we can go with this. All right. So I'm going to disagree when you say he's a nobody, write him off. Because I wouldn't say that about you, Steve. I wouldn't say Steve's a nobody, write him off. I wouldn't say that about anybody, especially people who are here being vulnerable and trying to do something unique and creative like we're all doing. All right.
Z, I'm sorry, man. I gotta tell you, I allowed my mind to drift, my view to drift. I pulled up Paul's stream just to see, and I see the people talking in his chat. Brother, it's not just the one that's confused. There are like a whole group of grown men and women who are confused, and they're just in this, holy cows, man. Z,
Right.
this is our life. And sorry, keep going, but what I honor, yes, what you said regarding that comment from Steve. We're all the same. We really are. We are all people trying to figure out what is real, who we are, and what is going on in this crazy world. Hey.
Right. I want to read Rosa's comment. She said, that's the main takeaway from last night. He reached out and made himself vulnerable. Which is why I wanted to have this discussion with Jack, because I recognized it, but he did it in the way that he does it, which is obviously dysfunctional and destructive.
But he did it.
But he did it, exactly. Yeah. He did. And he reached out in a way that showed vulnerability.
Yeah.
So that makes me go, okay, well, how do we address this? How do we do this? I want to say this, Jack. Let me say this about the conversation. I'm going to give my opinion. I'd like to hear your opinion. I think Paul has a limited mindset of his own potential and other people's potential. All right. Because I feel like if he had a more expansive mindset on his own potential, we wouldn't see these behaviors from him. Okay. Right. Because for whatever reason, he's behaving in certain ways that are in some ways, again, evidencing a limited mindset. All right. I think you and I have a more expansive mindset with this endeavor based off, I don't know, that's just my opinion. All right.
I agree.
Maybe we could address that. Your thoughts, please.
Brother, yes. His limiting mindset. It's the limiting beliefs. His tough patterning, which is what he's learned. It has served him in the past, but he's missing out. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
It's all right, Jack.
Well, you were asking, you pointed something out, and you were asking specifically on something.
Well, about the limited mindset, and I feel as though you and I have a more expansive mindset of this thing.
His limiting beliefs. I believe he lacked clarity in the future. This is what, I mean, I'm suggesting this because of my own experience and what I learned about myself when I had patterns of self-sabotage, which is what I see him showing. It was because I lacked clarity in the future. And I honestly think if Paul had clarity and confidence in the future that he was creating for himself, you wouldn't walk away, right? But I can understand why you saw under his current patterns, it appears that, is he going to rise to some great success? Doubtful. It's not in the way that it's going. But if he had a purpose and actually wanted to cooperate and collaborate, dude, I know you see what I see.
I agree with that. And maybe that's one of the reasons I'm interested in this, even though the reality is, Jack, my my audience, they don't want me to interact with Paul. They know it's not
Man,
beneficial to my future. They know it's not beneficial to the show, right? Because it's not, the vibe's not there. It's not organic.
right.
It's not organic, right? And that's, I don't think, my fault, really. Okay. I think it's based on a belief system, as you said, that Paul has a particular belief system that is informing his judgment and his view on this endeavor. And I think in some strange way, he may be willing to destroy everybody else around him and himself at the same time through some weird repetition compulsion for dysfunction.
I think he's not aware. He's not.
I don't think
aware.
he's aware either. That's why we're having a sincere discussion about Paul.
Exactly. And this is, I can just imagine how he's going to paint it, or how he, you know what? Let me not.
It doesn't matter at this point, Jack.
Right.
That's irregardless. That's of zero
Right.
consequence.
Well, the real question is, what do we do? I don't believe in coincidences anymore. I try to find out, what is the reason, what could be the reason that we joined together. There is some bizarre dysfunctional connection between the patterns of me and my son, Paul and his dad. I've attempted to communicate with the two of them. I've attempted to communicate with each of them. But Z, I'm telling you, when you showed up, I was like, there's a man who communicates better than me. Maybe Z can help me get through to this guy, Paul. But so far, it's entirely in his hands. It really is. You know that.
And I want to say that, when I listened to what he said last night, what I notice about Paul is he assumes so much about people when he speaks. And I know he believes it when he says it. He thinks he's right when he assumes. I don't want to even conjecture that it's a projection from his part. I just want to say he assumes so much and he claims a lot about people in an interest to form a narrative. And my concern is that he's really not interested in the truth about that person, right? It seems as though he's only interested in proving himself right in the moment.
In the moment, he doesn't think about the bigger picture. He doesn't consider how these arguments and disagreements, how his constant battles and victories, how they're really sabotaging the greater potential. Because what you've said it, I've said it, the viewers have said it, you've got a spark and an energy to you. You do great on your own. I do too. Paul does too. But when Paul comes into that picture, it's a missed opportunity. It really is. I don't know what the future is going to bring us, but Z, I'm excited, man. Because with or without Paul, I have the intentions of rising and growing and reaching greater audiences and doing something more.
All right, Jack, let's invite some people up. That's only fair, okay?
Absolutely.
Of course, look who jumps up.
Right.
I mean, of course, look who jumps up. I might say, of course, look what duo is still showing their obliviousness to the broad picture of this whole thing.
I'm about to let you down already. I'm already pissed off about your little thing you did with Rose last night, Tom. So
Beta!
I'm a little pissed off about that already. So you're on very thin ice with me.
Thin ice? That implies I'm worried about breaking through.
But You can respect the moment. And
Right.
What
He-
the fuck does that mean?
That's why I want to let him go, because see that banner? What does that banner say right here? I'm going to put it up again.
Oh, it has your Cash App. Who was the first person to hit your Cash App? See, I can do you like I do, Paul. I'll just corner you right in the real time like that. I'm so quick. So quick.
So, Jack,
Tommy,
it was
isn't
obviously a
it
mistake to
toast
bring
time,
Tommy
fried
up when I
toast
said it's
time?
some sincere
I'm that
discussion
fast
about
guy your mother
anything.
warned you
Because
about.
you're obviously incapable of having any sincere anything in your life. That's your
So
problem.
let me ask you this.
are
I
you
think
capable, Tom?
with no ego, it's pretty obvious that as far as the Paul, my rival thing, I'm that lore master in this community. And both you and London Man have like just backstaged me where you need that information the most.
Right, like I want to backstage you now, dude, because I have a bunch of people
It's
that are going
like
to come up.
lean into
You're going to
how you
railroad the
fuck
whole thing. You're going to fuck this whole thing up. And now, see, I'm going to backstage you because I actually want to
Tommy,
have a real
this isn't about
conversation.
you.
Right,
You mean with-
exactly. Now you're fucking backstaged.
Sorry to interrupt you.
It's all right. No, I brought you guys up. All right, so you guys obviously heard what Jack and I had to say. Floor's open.
Can I go first?
Please
really quick?
try
Sorry, guys.
try to stick to the topic.
I always to the topic. And no offense, Jack, I'm just going to bring up a Paulism, what he would say. If Paul was up here, he would immediately bash you and bring up the whole house thing. And why aren't you addressing yourself before you address me? And that's one of the first
Right,
things
but
he would
Paul
say.
brought
However,
himself into this conversation.
Oh,
Paul
agreed.
showed up
No,
here
no,
last night. There was an obvious message from him showing up here. Paul introduced
devil's
himself
advocate.
into this. I know. I'm just telling the audience so they know. Not everybody was here. Paul came here last night to obviously, basically make some overture for whatever it was. Now we're having the discussion. So don't indict Jack for having the discussion that he didn't start. He didn't initiate it. There's a little thing called cause and effect in this world. All right, go ahead, Emilios, man.
And-
Continue.
the other thing that you were saying about Paul Z, and I really am very impressed with him. He frustrates me a lot, and a lot of times I don't even listen to his show because it really gives me a headache. And it's ridiculous most of the time. You really get no true value out of it. Although some of the things he says blows my mind because he is an amazing orator. His knowledge is amazing. He has done that internal work. But, you know, it's like a new hammer wants to find a nail with everything. And that's the thing. Sometimes there's a certain sense of decorum that needs to be used because one key doesn't fit every single lock. And he almost takes that approach.
All
and I
right,
think
so hold on. I don't want to cut you off, but
That's
you
okay.
made a good point. I've made that point with Paul too, is that everybody who's not him gets placed in the same bin.
Yep.
And he says the same words, the same narrative about everybody. They're
Without-
basically right, without even trying to evaluate them on any level. They're just losers,
Bingo.
defalcators. They're never going to be him. They're not good as him. They don't live their life like him, so they can't say the things and do the things he does. Everybody gets into put in that bin without scrutiny. It's a hasty generalization. And I've noticed the same thing. I wanted to highlight and then say I agree with your comment. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's a hasty generalization, and he always brings up emotion. But, you know, at the end of the day, we're all emotional beings. We operate by emotion, unfortunately. In having an emotional high quotient of intelligence does not come easy, and it's a work in progress. And he wants to do that with everybody immediately. But, you know, you don't know what brought a certain person into the situation that they're in.
Do
They
you
might have
need
gone.
to?
Pardon?
Do you need to know?
But
Low state, what do
flow, you don't
mean by
need to,
that?
but it informs an understanding of a person. So, like you said, okay, we have an option. We could just say, fuck Paul forever, write him off, go about our lives. He can nip at our heels until he finally gets tired, although they never seem to tire out. But what's going to happen with Paul is if he keeps like this, he's just going to keep accumulating more and more. He doesn't like to say enemies. He said 3 words the other night. I wrote them down, but I forget what he said. Like competition. He's just going to basically keep acquiring all of these enemies. I'll just say it. And it's going to be overwhelming for him. It's going to be to his detriment. So, yeah, we could just say fuck Paul. It doesn't mean we all need to go on his panel tomorrow. But the point is, why is it wrong? Or what is your argument, Flow State, against the conversation about trying to understand his behaviors? Why is that a
Because
problem?
You can't. You're not adding any new information to the equation. Actually, I found what you and Jack just did to be maybe sincere, but an intellectually dishonest circle jerk of maternal energy. You guys didn't bring in any new knowledge to the equation. All you did was speculate your own altruistic feelings onto his behaviors and flavor the situation.
I don't think we did that. I'm going to disagree. I don't feel as though that's what we did, but I'm willing to take your critique.
That's fair. That's how I viewed it. I could be wrong.
All right. So go ahead. Your perspective, please.
I'm not suggesting anything about Paul, like as far as writing him off or whatever. I don't write really people off ever. But I'm not going to try to. I just don't feel like this is my child that I need to help walk through life. This is a 34-year-old man. I don't know why he is the way he is. I don't care why he is the way he is. He's 34. So the hand-holding discussion you guys are having is weird to me, and it seems like even if you could fix him, why are you taking this ownership of the issue?
Not interested in fixing him. I just want to have a discussion about him that's sincere.
Okay.
Plain and simple.
Don't you think that the best way to know about somebody is through observation, not speculation about, we can look at their behaviors, and that the sum total of how they act and what the outcome is going to tell us about their motivation more than how we feel about how we would be feeling in their situation.
All right, fair enough. Let's go to Tariq and then Goblin.
What's up, Z?
How's it going, Tarek?
I'm doing good. First, I'd like to say, I'm sure nobody hates Paul. Okay, we all wish him the best, right? Does everybody agree?
Tarek, your mic's a little choppy.
Yeah.
How about now?
Try again.
How about now?
It seems better. Go ahead.
Okay. We all wish Paul the best, and I'm speaking on my behalf and probably everybody else.
No, you're still robot. Hold on, you're still robot.
Right. How about take somebody else and let me work on my thing? I'll be right back.
Work on that. Goblin, floor's yours. Goblin King, floor's yours.
All right. How you doing? First off,
nice to see you. Nice to see you, man.
All right. A sincere discussion about Paul. My observation, I noticed a big change when the flying monkeys, because you got people that instigate, that causes division, distraction, and all that, that. And so when I noticed more of the flying monkeys scenario and, breaking up a lot of the panels and stuff of that matter, I seen a shift in the way that it was rolling. So I think that maybe my advice, I guess I would say, is maybe he would do better with less people instigating, or what I'm saying, shit like that. I don't really know how to explain it.
Expound on that, because I think I know what you're getting at. So you're saying that, but here's the thing, they're his followers, right? And I call them followers because they're his followers, right? I mean, we can say listeners, but they're his followers. They follow Paul. He's their leader, right? This is natural in nature, where somebody has a certain personality and they establish themselves into a leadership role. Well, if there's a leader, there's followers. He will probably disagree with that, but I hear what you're basically saying. His followers are behaving in a certain way that you consider flying monkeys. But here's the thing. I have a lot of listeners on my channel. I have 0 flying monkeys, and neither does Jack. So I guess my point is that who's really to hold the responsibility in the situation? Because as I said before, I feel as though Paul often speaks in inflammatory fashion that incites the passions of his followers. And for him to abdicate responsibility for that, I think is in some way insincere and dishonest. Go ahead, Goblin. Continue.
Based on that, really all I can say is what I'm willing to share with you. I was bullied in school, and I studied and I learned why do bullies bully others, and yeah, and then when you put the flying monkeys into the scenario, it just makes it worse because it's derailing the conversation and it's causing division. And I understand maybe sometimes division is essential, if you will, you know what I'm saying? But I just think he's being thrown off his square, if you will, based on that. And
okay,
as far as accountability, I don't know. I don't know if I could say that he would be accountable for his followers or, you know, flying monkeys. And it's not all, it's really just a handful. Like when you go back to like season 2, you know what I'm saying? And then to where everything is now, it's changed quite a bit, you know?
Correct. And I do think that's one of the reasons Paul's behavior is, I think, okay, Jack, I'm going to ask you this question, then I'm going to Steve. Would you agree with me that Paul likely has a certain belief set about him, his role, and his experience here? That belief set is not matching up with reality, and he is reacting in a very particular way that's, again, dysfunctional. What are your thoughts, Jack?
Absolutely. He's got a character and a persona that he believes is real, and he's created these within himself, these visions of grandeur where he's incomparably better to the folks like Z or me or Steve, any of us. That's why he gets offended. He's close. I believe he's detached from what is real. That's what I believe. Yes.
Steve, let's go to you.
What's up, fellas?
Pretty good. Your mic's a little hot.
I'll move it away a little bit. Better? No, yeah.
Well, I could adjust it on my end. Go ahead, start talking. I'll adjust it as you're talking.
So, as a person who's actually interacted with Paul many, many times over a year now, on all of these different panels, he is one of those types of people that he just will attack your character to see how you react to it, right? That's really his goal is he'll hit you personally to see what he can say or do to try to get you a reaction out of you. He wants to see how you react. And a lot of people take that personally. They think that he's a jackass, he's an asshole, but he's doing it for himself, right? Everything he's doing it for himself. He's not doing anything for anybody ever. Think about it. Puts everyone down, name calling, just like last night. Immediately, starts talking about how Jack's going to be evicted from his house, or he'll talk about you,
right. And I'm a loser and everything,
exactly.
Right?
So that's his thing. Like that, he lives off that shit. There's nothing, even Jack. I like watching Jack, but his grand delusion that he thinks that he's going to do some kind of headway with Paul is ridiculous. Paul doesn't want that shit. Jack should know better. He's like an alcoholic, a drug junkie. He doesn't want the help. He's not going to get the help unless he wants the help, and he sure as shit doesn't want it.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, how could anybody help him when he's puts himself above everybody else, right? Like the thought probably this conversation is probably laughable to him, honestly.
Yeah,
this conversation will definitely be replayed.
Anytime his fucking name is brought up, he's like, "Yep, that motherfuckers are talking about me. It's good for business."
Right, but everybody knows that he showed up here last night, and I've consistently distanced myself from his whole universe for months on end now. Everybody, Steve, who pays attention knows that. So I'm not even worried about his narrative anymore.
All right. Tommy, you're a little bitch.
Tommy's not up here, is he?
No, he's in the chat that I dropped snafu on. I'm like, this drama bullshit. Like, you're a grown man, Tom. You can handle your own. You fucking did handle your own. Like, stop bitching about it. Fuck. Anyway, my bad.
All right, let's let Tarek go. How's your? Let's hear your mic, Tarek.
It should be better, right?
Yeah, it's much better. Yep.
Great. All right. Here's the thing. Okay, I speak for myself first. Paul, I think you're bright. You're visionary. You're calculated. You're very smart. You're a good broadcaster, and you know what you're doing. Okay, and I think you mean well when you speak about the truth. Here's where I totally want to expose his bad part. All right. Paul will do anything to make sure first that nobody's over him. He's a narcissistic for sure. Okay, no problem. That's one thing. Second, he will bring people to his own panel, even though he doesn't need them. He knows they're like not good for his show. He'll use them, then kick them. Third, he will down women no matter what. I don't care what women. He's been always talking about women, no matter about TML, Steve, you name it. Even like when Jack had 2 black African women on there, right away he went on there and said bad stuff, bitches and stuff like that. That's the third thing. Fourth, he brought the monograph up, never faced them, never want to even face them because probably he's whatever the case may be, that's his own issue. Fifth, kicked me from his show and OTW because Paul wants to be Paul, right? Sixth, he will go to any venue and he will manipulate. He's a great manipulator. He will go to any venue and try to say, like you went on your show yesterday, right, Z? And he was cupcaking a little bit, being nice, back and forth, because he knows Jack now does not want to be at all kind of associated with him after what happened back and forth. And he knows Flow State is getting great numbers. He knows you are getting great numbers. He's worried about his numbers. Believe me, he doesn't say that. He is worried.
All right, so hold on. Let's talk about that. All right, so here's the thing. I tend to agree with you because what you're saying is logical that he would be. All right. We know this is his livelihood at this point based off things that he's said. Now, I want to expand on that because I think you made a good point. I think what he's doing is he's playing into the control matrix that he is so vocally against, because the reality is he keeps saying he's suppressed, and he is, but so am I, and so is Jack, and so is everybody else. So, okay, he sees his numbers, he sees other people, but I think that goes back to what I said previously about his limited mindset, right? Because the reality is all of us are doing right now is building a foundation. We're building strong footing to build a future on. That's the way I look at this endeavor, and that's why I go back, and I'm going to agree with you, Tariq. That's why I said I feel as though he's short-sighted, and I think he's limiting himself and everybody else at the same time as much as he can. Go ahead, floor's open.
If you let me ask, why do you think he's short-sighted and he's worried about that? Like, why? What is it? Like he's worried about what? I'm just wondering.
I don't know. I could only conjecture. If you want my true opinion, I think he's young. I think he's still a young man.
I think
he's in. What, Flow State?
He's my age. I've got 2.5 years on the guy. He's not young.
Can I ask for some clarification though?
That doesn't change the fact that he's young.
Limited, or do you think that it's a fixed mindset? Because there is a difference.
What is it? What was your question?
I was asking for clarification. Do you think it is a limited mindset or a fixed mindset?
I don't know.
I don't know either. But he also, can I add something real quick, Z? He also, he claims to be like walking the way, right? So he's supposed to be this guy that's telling people how to walk the way and everything else. And he knows all the stuff about it, right? And he also threatened Flow State indirectly, or some people say directly, and he's trying to avoid it the other day. I have the whole fucking clip. Paul, you can't go around it, dude. You said it exactly. You're good with your words. You know how to say things and not make yourself look whatever, okay? We all know that.
It wasn't clever. It was...
But yeah, whatever the case may be,
don't give credit where it's not due.
Yeah, fuck.
When you break Paul's speech and his interactions down, he's just employing very advanced manipulation tactics that when he probably doesn't even know he's doing it. That's the thing. He doesn't understand how
he does.
manipulative he's being.
I think he
Go ahead.
does.
Why do you think that?
I don't think so,
God.
Z. I think his emotional intelligence is
I
through
guess
the roof.
I'm alone on this one because I don't
But
think
why
he's.
do you-
I don't think he's aware of what he's doing. Honestly, I think he's
Why?
unaware of it.
He knows exactly
It
what
could
the
be
fuck
it
he's
could be
doing.
a pattern, Z. It could be a pattern that's become an addiction. But at the end of the day, I hope everybody will agree the dude is intelligent beyond. You do get a lot from
Yes.
him. He does push your buttons to find your
Let me-
weaknesses, and that is true. And a lot of what you guys are repeating here is because somewhere he's pushed your button, found your weaknesses. You didn't want to address those weaknesses. His problem,
No,
Paul,
no,
if you're
hold
listening,
on,
you probably
hold on.
replay this. Wait, let me finish because my battery's
Go ahead.
running low. Sorry, guys. I apologize. His problem is, Paul, you have the intelligence to use better decorum with each individual person and soften the slap a little bit. You don't have to slap everybody to get your message through. You will attract a lot more bees with honey.
Look, it's destroying him.
Yeah,
That's
agree.
the thing.
No, we're
It's
saying
not.
the
It's
same
not
thing.
even about you slapped me or it's destructive for him.
I agree
That's
with
what I
Z.
meant by. That's what I meant. It becomes an addictive pattern, right? The couple who fights all the time, the fights keep getting more aggressive. They start becoming addicted to that fight, right? There's an addictive pattern that starts developing there, even though he claims he's in control of it. I mean, who knows? Time will tell. We could all be wrong on that, but the dude is beyond intelligent. I just wish he would use a little more decorum like he used on your show last night, Z. I went on his panel. I typed in, Paul was very well behaved. They really pissed him off. Then he called me up there, but I wasn't able to because I was at work. But I'll go on his panel and address that. But he got really pissed off because I used the word behave. Now, it was a slight jab at him. It wasn't meant to be. I could see why he thought that. What I meant by behaved is that he was using decorum based on the fact that he came to your house, Z, and he can't act like he's on his channel in your house, right? Because sometimes he
Yes,
does that with
that's
Jack.
true.
Am I mistaken with that panel?
No, you're not mistaken. You're 100% right. But I can add one thing to that real quick because you said he does something about him addressing the situation. Let me tell you something. I asked him many times to go on his panel and address the problem. He told everybody that, oh, it's an open panel. Come on. I went on. He wouldn't address. He wouldn't even let me know on panel. So he lies. He manipulates. Okay, he does. So don't think he doesn't. He lies.
Most of Tarek's, you guys are doing well. Tarek, your shit's all emotional about you and
Oh,
Paul.
I have
It's,
seen him mute.
it's
I have
different.
seen him mute.
It's different than what the rest of the guys. The rest of the guys are trying to make observations without putting themselves in it. Your shit is all complaints about shit he's done to you, and I'm wondering
But
how he can have relationships with people who
Joe Cool.
submit to him. He has
Joe
those.
Cool.
Yep. Yeah.
Joe Cool, I'll ask
My
you a question. You
apologies. I
said
just want to.
emotional,
I'm
right?
gonna hang up. Because my phone's about to die. But hey,
All right.
Joe Cool. Sorry, I'm just messing with you. The world is flat. Bye.
Joe Cool, I have a question for you. You said I'm speaking from the emotional point of view, right? Just say I
You
am,
are.
right?
You are.
Yeah, no problem. Say I am, right? But what does that speak about him? What does
It
that say
says
about
he's.
him?
It says he's hurt you, and
No,
you
it's not
reacted.
about hurting me. It's how he treats people. If he treats me that way, he treats Snafu that way. He'll use Snafu every time. Then he'll fucking cuss him out and kick him out. Then he'll use him next day and give him a good pointer. That's how he is with everybody. Come on. He put on Flow State before. He let Flow State come on when he used to come on all the time on his panel, and he'll be nice a little bit, and at the end he'll kick him. He knows how to do this. His
That was
own
the
broadcast.
last part of my statement. He can get along with people as long as they're subservient or something. But if a person threatens him or something, suddenly he's going to attack you. If you try to take the spotlight from him, he's going to attack you. If he sees you as a threat, he's going to attack you. I don't know how much progress you guys can really make, because he does see at least Z and Jack as inferior beings. So all the shit that they're offering up is only a small bit. It's
Because
All right,
they're
so I'd
gonna-
like to-
because
I'd
he
like to
knows that he
expe-
can exploit it.
Sorry, hold that thought, Flow State. I want to expound on that because I do believe, I agree with what Joe Cool said. I do think that Paul has an elevated view of himself, which he unconsciously uses to justify his deplorable behavior to
Agreed.
people. All right.
Agreed.
He's conscious about it. He states it. He states it.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, I didn't mean to disrupt you. I just want to he says it himself. He knows that anyways, go ahead.
He knows it and he doesn't feel bad about it.
Yeah.
That's very true, Steve. You're right. And also, Z, I'd like to add one more thing to that he always says he doesn't want the drama. He preaches about, oh, guys, you should look for the truth and all that. And all of a sudden, he's always bringing drama into it. He'll act like it's a bit non-bit, but it's not a bit non-bit. That's what he wants. He wants more views. He wants more drama. And that's why he'll talk about flow state. He'll talk about you a little bit. He'll cupcake here and there for that reason. Paul, you're a fucking grifter and you're a fucking liar.
It's all Machiavellian.
Tariq, I appreciate you up here speaking. I appreciate it, but we're having a sincere discussion. I want to try to really stick to the topic. I don't think we need to ad hom and stuff, but I understand you're emotional and stuff.
I apologize.
Yeah, but I still I'm still wondering why you say things like he doesn't know what he's like. Why are
because I really think he's unaware of his behavior. That's why I'm saying it. It doesn't mean I'm right.
And in some ways,
I hear what you're saying. I want to know why you have these beliefs.
Because a lot of it, his anger is just reflexive. It is not so thought out. A lot of it is when you hurt his fucking you hurt his feelings. He goes on and acts crazy.
Fuck me in the ass. Well, I hope that was Z's answer because that's the one I got.
Z was quiet.
Don't worry about leading the witness. I'm trying to figure out what Z's thinking, and Joe just told me.
My apologies.
I will say that I agree with what Joe said there. Is that it's reflective and emotional, and then in an ironic way because he tries to act super masculine. It's actually highly feminine, and he doesn't know it because it's emotional.
Yes.
And to me, to go along with Joe said, it probably stems from a high degree of childhood trauma.
Yeah, all that yelling over people and cutting people off and shit. It's a fear.
He is a brother that we don't want to disregard outright. At least I don't. It doesn't mean I'm ever going to co-create.
I agree with that.
It means that I don't want to just throw him away because say something happened to Paul in a year from now. I don't want to live with that on my conscience that I just wrote somebody
else.
This is why you guys have maternal energy. I agree, not throwing people away. However,
that's brotherly energy. That's not maternal energy. That is a brotherly energy. Oh, go ahead.
When you're making up excuses for obviously bad behavior to somebody who obviously should know better and in fact states that they know what they're doing, that enabling and justifying is motherly energy. And that's why you two get more shit on than the rest of us.
But Z, I have a question for you. You think Paul is more masculine or feminine?
He's more feminine. He just doesn't know it.
He spoke correctly when he said all of that anger and reactive shit. That's insecurity. That's feminine nonsense.
Yes, right. But Joe, look at his team, right? His monkeys. You got gay Christos. You got gay Peniel. You got gay Hank. That's his team. That's his snitches.
Yeah. I like all them niggas. I like Paul too. I don't know what to tell you, man.
I want to get in on this bad behavior.
Go ahead.
Let's welcome Benton to the show.
Hey, what's up, Z? Good to see you, sir. Good to see the panel. Hey, the thing about bad behavior, I've taught myself many years ago, I don't reward people's bad behavior. The fact is, if Paul wasn't constantly rewarded for his own bad behavior, he would stop doing it. It's not even his fault. Okay, it's his fault. It ain't his problem, right? The problem is that people let him do it. You got motherfuckers signing up to be abused by an abuser. And see, I knew I never had to worry about that because I have proper boundaries and I'm not going to let people victimize me. I'm not going to let people manipulate me. And he is highly manipulative. He's not the only one. Some of us, I also have some of those abilities. I choose not to act on them most of the time. But guess what? I see when other people do it, and I'm more or less immune to that shit. Some of y'all, and I'm not singling anybody out. Some of y'all need to grow the fuck up, put your big boy or your big girl pants on, learn how to set proper boundaries, and when people come at you with that nonsense, do not engage it.
So here's the thing, Benton. I think all of us could agree with that, but At this point, Paul and his followers have shown a psychotic level of attention towards certain people where they seem to be fixated to all of their detriments, right? So we've all tried to ignore. Look, I tried to ignore Paul for a long time based off certain reasons. They're not stopping. The behavior is persistent and pervasive. All right. So
why do you think that is?
Oh, that's the internet. That's built
well,
into the internet itself.
But I mean,
right,
why does
but
he choose Z and Jack?
I could only conjecture on his motives. I could only conjecture, and so could
You've
Jack.
been doing it all night.
I already said it. I think he has an insecure attachment style, and I think he's actually reaching out for camaraderie and friendship, and he's actually lonely. I know he has a.
You're not
I know he
answering
has.
his question. His question was
on.
why you and Jack in particular.
Well, and I got something real quick. I'd be his friend, but I will never engage that bullshit. He finally behaved in ways with me that just guarantee, well, I'm not going to be coming around seeking friendship. See, that's a him problem. He should suffer for that. People are, again, rewarding his behavior. But go ahead. Sorry about
I
that.
like this dude.
Well, it's the pattern he creates. Many people like him, people who are injured, hurt emotionally, they create these walls and boundaries, and they make it real tough to be friends. But why is Z and I picked out? Could be something beyond, right? Karmically, spiritually, beyond the
Probably,
physical.
isn't it?
No, I'll tell
be.
you why.
It could also be because Z and I have entertained it.
The way you react, that's
enabled it.
logical,
In
yes.
fact,
Well, I don't
Jack.
feel I've been enabling it as much as many of the people on many others I've seen.
There's no repercussions. His actions are justified.
Well,
That's why he
so
chases you guys
far-
around. That's why I'm blocked on everything from him. He doesn't want nothing to do
Yes.
with me.
Well,
He doesn't
Steve's right.
fuck with it. Yeah.
But Jack, can I add one thing? The reason why he picked you in Z and also not Flow State, this is the reason why. Jack, you have a unique character. You're like lovable, okay? Z is very bright. So he thought if he gets close to both of you, that
Oh, and I got
this
no
thing
character.
will go
Thanks,
good.
Tarek.
Yeah, no, hold on. Flow State, I'm coming. The reason why he won't cupcake or be good with the Flow State, he's always like ragging on him, telling bad shit and doing this stuff, is because Flow State has this personality. He's gonna tell him, "Fuck off! I don't give a fuck. I don't want to deal with you. You're a fucking this," and he won't let it go. That's how it is. He reads the personalities.
That's just like Benton. But for some reason, Paul has picked out Z, me, Flo.
I think Z might
That's the
get
only
an
thing I
extra
think.
heart because he thinks Z is, and rightly so, is competition, right? Z has a mouthpiece and confidence and all that shit.
I agree with Joe because Z, if he's here's the thing, Z, if you're his competition, right? So if he thinks you're about to go over him, he'd rather be friends with you. This way, it doesn't look bad on his reputation, himself as the god of all media. And with Jack, he knows that Jack got this character that he can always benefit out of it, and also for views.
Here's the thing, though. I don't mean to. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I swear I saw Z with Paul willing to play like the supporting role to really just help Paul shine even brighter, and that
You
was.
agree with that, Z? That was that your
So
role?
when I started on YouTube, I had my channel and I would do a Sunday show. It was fairly popular, where I was getting way higher numbers than I do now and than I ever did, right? But I was new on the scene, right? And I was green. So I was the new guy, so I had a little bit of juice. Now I had done different interviews. I was Z for a while, and then I started my own channel. Within a month of starting my own channel, I stepped on Paul's panel for the first time. All right. Now, I stepped on Paul's panel in a way that was a bit naive. I was new to the game, but I enjoyed his message and I enjoyed him as a presenter, so I participated there. So yes, I was a supporter of Paul.
You took second seat, but you were unaware because you were fresh.
Well, I was fresh, but second seat on his panel. I mean, does anybody take primary seat on somebody's panel? Is anybody primary over me right now? Of course not, right?
No, but I think it's an equality thing. It's not I gotta bow and bend to be in fucking Z's room.
It's not saying that, but of course it's not that. But what it's saying is when you're on somebody's show, they're the host always, right?
I get that. I get it.
So I was there. I was participating on his channel, okay, for a number of months. So whoever said that is correct. I was participating on his panel, but I guess the point would be, but so what? Like, what does that have to do with anything? It should show that I support Paul in his message and I actually believe in him. But what does that have to do with me? Because here's my thing, Joe Cool. It is my idea that Paul is trying to suppress me, and in the process, he's limiting both of us. Because Joe, I think Paul's better without me, and I'm better without him.
Oh, you guys team up, you'd be better. It is because the dynamic won't work. However, if I'm sorry, Paul, forgive me, but if Paul were healed, you guys could climb mountains together.
Absolutely.
Yes, maybe, but Paul doesn't want anybody else climbing the mountain. He's going to say, okay, it's me or me and Z. It's not going to be this person or that person. And here's the thing. Paul's restrictive. When I was on his panel, Joe Cool, he didn't like me going on other panels. And see, that's when I started seeing the optics. And anybody who was around at the time saw that. Even if I popped on OTW, who's now his biggest crony, but people who were here saw that. And then I started realizing what interacting with Paul is actually like. He wants domination and ownership.
Yes.
I was unwilling to consent to that role, and he hasn't gotten over it since. He likely thought I would wither without him. He sees that's not the reality, and he's reacting poorly now. All right, so that's the reality. It was Paul's behavior. He led to this, whether he knows it or not. And the people who have been here since the beginning understand everything I just said is facts. Go ahead.
Hey, this is where I was going with the fact that you were. What I saw is you were there, willing to play the supporting role and help raise him up and really co-create, collaborate. But what I see in Paul is his insecurities. He's built in himself that he's got to dominate and compete with everyone. And so he's competing with us rather than trying to cooperate. And I think he has a problem with allowing others to shine in front of him.
That's probably not
at all. I mean, I wish that you guys had been to jail, because this is exactly
the dynamic.
This is my cell block. What are you doing here? That's why he follows Z around, and that's why he torments Jeff. He's trying to push you motherfuckers off of his block. It's not his. He doesn't create content. He hogs turf.
All right, true.
I would agree with what you said there. I would agree with what you said, but again, it's to his detriment. That's what I mean about his limited mindset regarding this. It's insane. We're talking about at any given time, no more than 150 people watch any of us at a given time. Okay. The numbers vary. That is an exceedingly small number in the vast ocean that is YouTube. Okay. I could turn on people, even in these circles. Bro Sanchez probably has 3,000 people watching him right now as we speak. It's silly and goofy. All right. And that's what I mean about how petty this is. I think Paul's being petty in many ways. And I'm choosing to have this discussion now based off his appearance here last night, because to answer you, Flow State, I think even though he was highly insulting to me last night and Jack when he was here, I think that was his attempt to reach out in a way. I think that was Paul trying to show love. Jack, your thoughts?
God damn, I didn't see last night, but you guys sound so fucking closeted or something. I don't know.
Okay, you can say that. You can say. Just
I don't
know,
want to be insulting. It's just
Jack and I have some years on you. I'm a 45-year-old man, and Jack's somewhere around 50. Okay, so
I think I know where you're going with that too. Negative attention is better than no attention if you're seeking to reach out. I comprehend that. Yeah.
Well, but if you're going to talk about these dominance dynamics, I think it's important to realize if he was coming around yesterday, The thing about dominating all situations is he's only ever with people who respond to being dominated.
That's what I just said.
That's not,
That's
and
very
my
true.
apologies if I missed that, Joe. But yeah, that's not a good place to be. And I lived that way to some extent in my early 30s, right? And that's a fun game for a little while, but I don't think in the long run that's going to be enough.
That's a fair point, and I can agree with it.
He understands
But
the dynamics, right, of all of these panels. He understands that nobody wants to see a bunch of people get on panel and get along and agree.
Yeah.
He knows people want to see this discourse
Drama.
where we're all against each other, we're all fighting with each other, we're not agreeing on anything. They want the drama, they want the battle. That's what people are here to watch. And he understands
You're
that.
right.
And he provides that.
What he believes, but I don't believe that is true. There is
Agree.
a part.
Jack.
Yeah.
I agree with Steve.
Jack, if you didn't let any of those people from Unslavia up on your stream, your numbers probably wouldn't be as good as they are. As soon as you get those people up there, and then all of a sudden you got these arguments going on, all of a sudden, bloop, numbers are going up. Hey, look,
I had
people
the
are
problem
fighting.
solved, by the way, at Jack's, and then was unwrenched, and So, yeah, Jack, you definitely don't want the drama to go away. I don't care what you say.
I would agree with you.
Look, here's the thing. It's not that simple, okay? We're doing a live broadcast, one in which we encourage open discourse, all right? So just to say Jack is in it for the drama, I think, is very
I
don't know.
He's in it for the drama, but he definitely doesn't want the drama resolved.
He's smart enough to know what he got to do to get rid of the
That's
drama.
blaming
For some
me.
reason, he
That's
keeps
blaming me for the results. I'm not.
Yeah, you are to
intentionally
blame for the
creating
results of
these
your show. You
results.
are to blame for what happens on your show. Absolutely, I do blame you for that.
But
So-
Steve, can I ask you a question? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Know what I'm saying? With Paul, he keeps saying, just to let you know, he has trust issues. He keeps saying, he's telling people lies. Oh, I can't wait to be on the land. I won't let you on the land. Nobody's going to be, there is no land, dude. He's lying. And on top of that, why would Paul and Wizard, Wizard is his best buddy since whatever, 2, 5, 6 years ago, right? He never once promoted his show. He never once said, go to Wizards and watch them, even though Wizards is very smart. Why?
Wizard, stop it, Tarek.
Well, I'm just saying. No, I know. But why does somebody stood by him for 5 or 6 years? Why not once on the show said, hey, go watch Wizard, for example, like Wizard and everybody does to him? He won't do it. He wants
It's a
to be
good
on
question,
top.
Tarek. It's
I'm
a good
assuming
question.
if I asked Paul, Paul would say, of course, I have supported Wizard and I have shouted out his show and sent people
I
over
gave
there.
him my audience, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, he'll do that.
I never heard him. Never. He'll put Flow State, salute, and he'll put Jack all day because it benefits his show. Not Wizard, he won't. That's how he is. Business.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. You're mad.
Well, hey, man.
Well, he is mad. I mean, he does sound angry. I'm sorry, Steve.
I said I've said what I said about Paul. I'm going to get out. It seems like we're kind of getting wrapped on the axle, but when you're ready to talk about Earth stuff, I want to bring Tommy up here to talk about the Earth score and shit. But
Wait, you want me and Tommy? What? What do you want to have?
no, I want to. Tommy always wants to talk about globe Earth and flat Earth, but
He won't
the
shut up
same
about it.
number. Yeah, exactly. The same numbers that we're talking about, the diameter, the circumference of the Earth. Only being 8 miles down and it's 6,000 miles there. And how do we know the crust of Earth, the inner core of the mantle, all this bullshit? How do we know that? Ground penetrating radar can't fucking get down far enough. It's just guessing. The same thing with guessing about everything else. So I'm curious to see what his thought was on that. But I'll be back a little bit later. I'm going to hop off here for a minute and let you guys go back to
All right, Steve.
fuck Paul Enslaved, you little bitch.
Much love, Steve.
No, hold on. Paul
I'm going to
Steve,
miss
you big
Steve's
bitch.
energy. It was good.
All right. So this is devolving. So I'm going to start excusing people because I don't want this to devolve. I wanted to look. We had a sincere discussion. Much love, Joe Cool. Much love.
Dennis probably ready. All right, you guys
Much
take
love.
it easy.
I'm out of here too. Take it easy, y'all.
All right, Goblin. Pete, thanks for coming up. I appreciate your input. All right, so we can keep going for a little bit as long as we keep it a sincere discussion.
Okay.
That's what the
We'll keep
goal
it sincere.
was. All right. So
Z.
hold on,
Why
Tariq, and then you can
does-
go. Hold on,
Go ahead.
Tariq.
I'll
You
hear. Go ahead.
are emotional about the topic. Okay, so You appear to be emotional. Let's talk about it. You
There's a
appear
reason why I'm a little
you
bit-
appear emotionally invested. Go ahead.
Yeah, the reason why I'm a little bit maybe sound upset and emotional is because when you find somebody first, and I didn't know the whole thing about Paul, and you find out all these things that he's doing, it kind of feels like somebody, you know.
Right. You're disappointed.
Yeah, it's disappointment. It's not I hate Paul, I don't like Paul, I don't wish him good. I wish you good, and I know he's bright, and I'm sure he's not a bad person, but he always tries to play this game that he never makes mistakes, he'll never apologize. And what pisses me off a lot, he knows Jack's situation with his son and his family. He'll play Jack and say good things about him. As soon as Jack disagrees with him, he'll go, "Oh, that's why your family left you. That's why your kid left you." That's not a man that's walking the way. That's not how they speak. And Paul also, the way he speaks to women, call them bitches all the time. And then on top of that, him and Jennifer, for example, I don't want to bring her up, but him, the thought
How
that.
many more bullet points do you have on that itinerary that you're going off of, Tarek?
Well, one more point. That's it.
I'm
With
curious
the
about
Jennifer and the daughter, when the Jennifer and the daughter thing, the sexual thing, that's to me just way, way off. I'm sorry, and I yield.
Go ahead. Floor's open.
There's certainly patterns of behavior that I think if honest people are honest, they would question his, they'd question him. And I think if Paul was honest, he would look at his own behavior and maybe listen to some of the feedback around. Although I guess people would say that about me too.
Yeah. All right, Tarek, hold on.
You said it, but that is funny.
Tarek, any final thoughts?
Yeah. Has Paul ever apologized publicly to anybody on the panel? Anybody?
Not genuinely or authentically. And I don't believe.
Okay, that's my point. I
All right,
yield.
Tarek. Much love.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. Bye.
Thanks for joining.
I bet he didn't get through half of his bullet points.
Because I think he was a very ardent supporter of Paul in a real way, and I think he felt emotionally connected to the process, and I think that's why he's kind of, we see the emotional reaction. It's understandable in a lot of ways.
I think that instead of complaining about what Paul has done or speculating as to why it's not really his fault for what he does, it would be maybe a worthwhile conversation to discuss how we should handle these sort of situations, because that's really the.
All right. So here's what I think. Everybody, I think, is going to handle things the way they're going to handle them. Right. So we're all independent entities. And I think that's what Paul doesn't understand, is that we are probably, like, the thing that he wants to happen is actually happening right now. It's actually happening. We're watching it happen. It's just in a way that I think maybe it wasn't around his belief system. And I do think there is a competitive component that he's not honest with here. All right. And I think his behaviors make it quite obvious. All right. So I don't suspect Paul's going to change his behavior, Flow State. I think you and I could agree there. I think you'll probably agree with me. I don't suspect him to change. This wasn't in an effort to sway Paul. This conversation wasn't about that. So I don't expect him to change, right? But I think what he's realizing is that his understanding might have been based on some type of misinterpretation of himself. An aggrandizement, as somebody was like Joe Cool said. Paul thinks he's above Jack and I for whatever reason. Paul thinks he's above everybody for whatever reason. But because Jack and I are in this space, and you too, Flow State, I'm sure you could be included in that too. I think he's realizing, I think there's a legitimate frustration for him, because how could these so-called losers in X, Y, and Z be gaining traction? And what's wrong with everybody? And he's projecting out. And that's the defense mechanism that I think comes from his childhood trauma, is he's projecting outward. He's not looking at himself. He's not taking accountability for his situation.
right?
But now you're
So-
trying to say the practical thing is like, well, how does one handle this? Is that what you're trying to
Right.
get at, like the logistics of it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Because we don't actually know any of this shit. All we can do is flavor his behavior with our own life experiences and temperaments, right? So we have to. I mean, I trust him to be and say what he is and what he thinks, and I don't feel that I know better than him about who or what he is. He says that he's better than everybody. Okay, that's fine. So what would my response be? What is our response to that? And
Flo said, I've never encountered anybody like Paul to that degree.
Yeah,
So
most
I've never
people are
encountered
not
with his degree. The I'm better than everybody and sticks to it and actually believes it.
Right.
But I'm not going. But see, and
But
I
what's
think
the point of
right.
understanding why why maybe he has these issues? I don't see the value in it.
Because I see a little boy in him that is hurt, and that's what I've
You-
seen lately, and that it appeals to me on a certain level.
Maternal
to,
level.
to say that I don't know. I'd have to go into my psychology,
I'm just
Flow
giving
State,
you
to
shit,
understand why. I'd have to go into my psychology, but I don't see Paul like I see the bravado, I see the bullying, I see the aggression, but I see behind it and I see hurt. I see hurt. I see pain and hurt and abandonment. I see a world that
That's
fucked him
behind-
over, the world that's fucked so many people over.
All hostility is born of fear,
Right.
or pain, right? So that is basically a fact. But so what? I guess would still be the response to that. So what? So what can we do, or what should we do?
Well, what I believe the question is, what's the point of understanding this? Well, the idea is we understand things, then we learn how to deal with it. And I mean, the topic here, I believe we lead the confused to what is correct. I don't know why people are so resistant to the idea of helping people understand their behavior, because that's what
when
he
you
and I are
when
talking
you
about.
help somebody change in a way that you want them to change, but
No,
they don't want
I'd
to
like
change,
no.
that's
I
not
want
help.
That. It's not
But
about
see,
that.
Flo, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's not what's happening.
Has
What-
he asked you to help him change?
No. However, this is part of this. Are we just going to ignore that this is not a problem? I mean, it's been a
What do
problem
you mean?
for me and my goals and my life. I know you might have the luxury of pretending that it's not been a problem, but
It hasn't been one for me.
okay, sure. That's fine for you, but for you to sit here and negate the idea of actually trying to confront somebody for their behavior which is damaging and unhelpful. That's all I'm suggesting we do, not change
Okay.
someone into what
You've been
we want.
confronting him for a year, or for at least a year. I've known you guys for a year. You've been confronting him the whole time about it. It's done nothing except for invite more problems to your doorstep. All of your altruistic and attempts to help have been met with abuse.
That's
Because
been my
here's
life.
the thing, Flow State. There's no we can't hide. None of us can hide from each other. We're
I'm
all
not
here,
suggesting that.
dude.
Right.
Yeah,
We're all here. So we
Mhm.
have to find a way to manage this situation.
Mhm.
I think Jack and I are trying to find a way that is less destructive. We're trying to look, the knee-jerk reaction would be easy for all of us, and we've probably all been participating in the knee-jerk reaction. Al, you hurt me, I'm gonna hurt you, I'm mad, fuck you.
Mhm.
So okay, so we've done that. Maybe we can try something else with a different intention and a different energy towards it.
That's what-
Because in reality, Flow State, I think if we continue on this course, someone's going to end up getting hurt in a real way. I really think so. I think it's such destructive energy, it will manifest bad. And I don't want to see that
I
happen
actually
for
do.
anybody, honestly.
I agree, and that's why I try to transmute it into funny shorts and shit, right? That's why, I mean, there's a way to respond to this, and there's a way to handle it, And I
Have
don't
you
think that,
seen me going on and on about my grilled cheese bits with him and
yeah, I know.
Jen and all that
you
stuff,
might
dude?
be,
I've done that
I'm
for
not sure. You
hours,
might be
Holmes.
transmuting it right now, and not actually trying. I don't know. But I think it's misguided and sort of arrogant to think that we need to intervene on on another autonomous adult when they're behaving how they want to behave.
Wow. Huh.
It's fair enough. It's an honest opinion, Jack.
It is an honest opinion, and I can understand that, but I just see so much more value in
Jack, people have been trying to force you to change to how they want you to be nonstop since I got here.
Right. So here, let's swing back the difference. Most people are offering me advice and criticism, but really don't understand my perspective. They don't know where I've been or what I'm facing. Today, we're having a sincere discussion about someone who,
And we've added no knowledge of how he views things or where he's been. So, like I said earlier, all we're doing is projecting our own pre-existing experiences onto his behavior, and it's not helping clarify the situation.
if that's what you believe, then you're missing the opportunity, because I actually feel that there has been some forward product. I saw last night what happened last night as actually a real turning point. And I see today following up with this as another opportunity. So I'm sorry if you don't see the value, man.
I mean, I didn't see last night. I see the insanity in doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting different results.
But it's not.
It is the definition of
in
insanity.
your mind, in your opinion.
No, I mean, that's how I didn't make it. Okay.
All right, hold on. I want to start thinning out because I have other guests. I want to start thinning out the panel who's been up here for a while and bring other people up. So, Flow State, you gave your opinion and I asked for it, so I appreciate that. Thank you, dude. And closing thoughts for the audience.
My closing thought is that Paul's a 34-year-old grown-ass man. If Paul wants to start behaving like a normal person, by all means, that would be fantastic. That said, he doesn't at all, and I think it's I don't even know if I'd call it altruistic to think that we can decide what has made him the way he is and how he should behave going forward, and that we're gonna get that out of him when clearly the past has shown that we won't. I think we need to recognize where our boundaries are, who we can affect and control, which is ourselves. And if somebody wants to be a bane in other people's existence, then that's what they've chosen to be. That's how they should be treated until they change that interaction with the world around them. And thanks for having me up.
All right, Flow State, much love. Gary Baxter, hold on, I have you on mute, Gary, because your mic was there was background noise. Let me unmute you. Gary Baxter, welcome to Z Show. What do you got for us? Gary?
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on, Gary? We got a little bit of an echo going on, but we might be able to work with it. How are you? All right, so he's obviously on delay. Gary, you gotta kill the YouTube. Well, you gotta turn the YouTube off and you just listen through the StreamYard. Come on, Gary. It's your first time on my show and you're shitting the bed big time.
We don't want to do that.
Gary, are you there? All right, Gary, I'm going to put you in the back till you work it out. I'll bring you back up. Let's welcome Joe Moore and OTW back to the show. Welcome, gentlemen.
Shalom, Z. Yeah, when it comes to Paul, Benton's right. A lot of us are right. Everybody flow. You all know to set some boundaries with them. By going over there, you feed into it. So you just, allow them to keep perpetuating the nonsense. Then he's just going to continue. But you need to let him know that you know, how you feel, and maybe he can correct that. But you know, he's gonna want, he would have to want to change, and I don't see Paul being open-minded enough to make that change. You know, his hurdles and what he's overcome already, and what he's done with his life is his considered success. And he does suffer from a superiority complex, where he does think that he's better than everybody from, you know, overdosing from heroin, and now he doesn't do heroin. I don't know. But I have watched him back in like a year ago. He used to do like 10-hour lives, and you could see him nodding where, you know.
No, I would disagree with that. I've never seen any indications of him being high on air. Not even alcohol, dude. Now you may have saw something I didn't see. And he smokes a lot of weed, but I've never seen any indications of him doing hard drugs on air. Just to be fair, Joe, I've never seen that. Benton, you've been quiet for a while. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm mainly just listening. I'm enjoying the discussion, so I don't have too much right now.
All right. OTW, you there?
Yeah. What's up?
Hey, Pat, what do you got for us?
I'm just wondering why you guys can't just, love the God of all media. I mean, he's such a, intelligent, really smart, well-spoken man.
Come on, Pat. We're having a sincere discussion. This is not a shtick segment. You see it right on the screen. It says a sincere discussion about Paul.
Okay, and that was honest and sincere. I'm asking the question, why can't we just love the guy?
Who says we don't love him, Patrick? Who says we don't love him?
Maybe my perception of how you guys are ripping on him while he's not here.
We're ripping on him. See, Jack, this is the narrative.
Yep.
Was it a mistake to let Patrick up here? Because, Patrick, we were actually having a good discussion until you just came up, and the whole vibe changed instantaneously.
Well, it wasn't exactly what I was hearing from the guy next to me, Paul, Z. I mean, you might be saying that you're not ripping on the guy, but the guy just, kind of like, inadvertently bashed the guy, and he's not here to defend himself. So
hold on, Patrick. Hold on. Paul showed up at my channel last night. He obviously was the impetus.
Right, I reviewed that today, Z.
Okay, that's great. So the point is, I had been doing plenty of flat earth religious broadcast interviews. Paul is not on my docket when I start my show. I don't write Paul's name down as a topic. Paul comes here, Pat. If you're going to be honest, you know that Paul and yourself are consistently the ones who are initiating interactions with me. Anybody who sees knows. You're being insincere in your discourse tonight to say that we are speaking about Paul out of turn when he obviously has initiated this conversation on his own through multiple actions, including last night by presenting himself here. You're being insincere, and that's one of my biggest issues with you, Pat. So if you could dump the shtick and try to have a good conversation, I'll keep you up here. Otherwise, you're ruining it.
I'd like to see OTW.
Okay. What I'd like to know is what are you perceiving as insincere on my behalf? All right, I've reviewed the broadcast that you had with him yesterday, and I'm sorry, Z, but today it's like you did a 180. You know what I'm saying?
No, right, a 180. Jack, can you speak to him, Jack, please? Have you seen this broadcast? Go ahead, Jack. Have you seen my broadcast from beginning to end?
Dude, I just got back from work. All
right, so you obviously don't know what you're talking about. You obviously don't know what you're talking about then.
Yes.
So maybe go review the broadcast.
It's written in big right there at the bottom of the screen. A sincere discussion about Paul. I think I clicked the link on my because I wanted to participate in that conversation. And I'm not here with a shtick. I'm actually being straightforward. You understand? I'm telling you.
Jack, can you try with him? Can you try with him, Jack, please?
I'd like to. And right. OTW, if you can please, where you're being accused of being unsincere is with you're jumping to this conclusion and you seem convinced and convicted to prove it that this is just a bash Paul. That is a far cry from what has been truly shown. So,
Well, and even if it was to bash Paul, that's within the bounds of fair play. This is not a game where that's just somehow verboten. That's a fucking false premise.
for the
Oh,
context,
that's Benton. Oh, hey, Bentard. I didn't know it was you. I thought it was Provo.
for the context of the conversation, I would like OTW to realize what is actually real, you know, so that if he's joining up,
And what is real, Jack? What is your perception of what the fuck is supposed to be real? So I'm supposed to depend on your perception of what real is? Is this what you're telling me?
No.
So this is what I'm supposed to accept, Lou.
No,
You're
no,
offering me
OT
your reality and your perception of it, and I'm supposed to deal with that, right?
Hey, OTW, if you can chill with the hostility.
I'm chill, man. I'm chill. I just want to understand what you're trying to tell me here.
You're interrupting shows you're not chill. And so what I want to offer to you about what is real is this moment. Can you join into this moment where it has not just been a bitch about Paul session, where it has actually been, as it was shown, a sincere conversation about a man who you certainly admire. And we've already talked about how much we care and respect, even love Paul. So for you to come up here, let's chill, dude. What is real is right here and now.
You love and respect Paul, but there's always a but after it.
Can you join here and now?
I am here and now. Where the fuck do you think I am? I'm having a conversation in the moment with you, Jack. You know, get with the program, dude. I'm fucking present, bro.
You seem pretty worked up for being in the here and now. What's your deal, dude?
I just finished work. I'm still on my adrenaline.
Okay. So, all right. So your work is not out my problem. No reason to take out your frustrations here. I just suggested, why don't we
I'm not
chill
frustrated.
out? Your tone presents differently and your argumentative patterns.
So I'm supposed to defer to what your tone, what you perceive as my tone to be, whatever you think it is.
Why
right?
don't you figure out what's real, dude? Take a fucking breath.
Right. Okay. And you and I'm supposed to depend on you for what's real, Jack, right?
Nope. Quit.
Okay, so how the fuck if you're telling me that I'm supposed to find out what's real, it's because you obviously know what's real and I'm fucking lost. So please fucking enlighten me. Tell me what the fucking reality really is, Jack, if I'm so fucking lost. Come on, Jack.
Look at your behavior right now. You're unreal. You're out of fucking control. You're
I'm unhinged, dude. I'm fucking OTW. What do you think you're talking to who?
Yeah, see, you're a clown. You're a character.
No, fine. You want to call me clown? Go ahead. I don't care. All I can say is that you're absolutely incoherent and you have no idea what the fuck reality really is. And you think that your perception of reality should be everybody else's.
No,
bullshit.
I'm here and now. Are you?
I'm here and now, and I'm speaking to you, and obviously you're not listening. You're not listening. Because you're just going to come and repeat your dumb fucking bullshit.
I obviously trigger
I'm offering you, you're offering me that you want me to understand or fucking stand under what the fuck you're talking about, and I will not.
I'm just asking you to take a breath, shut the fuck up. Sincerely, it would do
okay,
us
well
all
then
good
stop
if
fucking
you
riding
take a
around the
breath.
bush and speak to me like a man, not some fucking guru that's trying to teach me something that you'll never fucking teach me. You're not going to teach me fuck all, Jack.
That's why you learn nothing from me, because you have a closed.
I have nothing to learn from you, man. If something you need, you would learn from me, Jack.
So can anyone besides me?
You don't have that energy. You do not have that passion. You do not have what it takes.
You're a fool.
You just don't.
Fuck, oh dear.
Jack, just go get some Monster Energy drinks.
Wow. Holy cows.
So let me just say something, Patrick. If you review the stream, you'll understand that Jack and I, we care for Paul. All right. We have positive regard for Paul in a brotherly way. We engage in a sincere conversation this whole time for a purpose. All right. We're trying to take a different approach other than a reflexive approach that is going to continue with this destructive path, because it is in my estimation that if this continues, it's going to end poorly for either one or many people involved in this whole endeavor that we're doing here. We have a chance to approach this endeavor with a different spirit and a different attitude.
John,
okay,
when did
we
you
have a
trade
chance
in-
to be
When did you
proactive.
trade in common sense for having a beer, drinking, and sounding like you're half shot, bro? How are you going to account for that? How are you going to account for the fact that you weren't sincere yesterday on the broadcast with?
I don't
fucking
even know
Paul
what he's
because you had a
saying.
drink, and
What do you-
you had a drink tonight. I'm willing to bet $100. I'm going to put my fucking hand in the fire. You're not sober tonight, and you were not sober yesterday.
That is a
How do you
crazy
account for that?
accusation.
Wow.
Patrick, I'm in no need to defend myself to you, but I assure you, sir, I am completely sober, Pat. So I don't know what that accusation is. It's strange, honestly.
Funny because you don't sound sober, G.
He's
Right.
projecting
I don't
all
sound
of
sober. Pat, I don't even know how to answer that. Tariq, welcome
Oh.
back to the show. Jack, do you see what I mean about the baseless,
Were you
unsupported
sober yesterday?
accusations
Hold on.
and the narratives?
Were you sober yesterday?
Patrick just wanted to spread a narrative about me, so he makes
No.
a baseless accusation. He's
Answer
not
the
interested
question.
in the
Were you
truth.
sober
He's not
yesterday,
interested.
yes or no?
Pat, I
Were
don't
you
come.
sober
I don't even.
yesterday, yes or no?
Patrick, I don't even come online stoned, much drunk. I haven't come online stoned since like February of last year when I was on Ian's shows.
So you're
I
gonna lie about
purposely.
it too.
Right. So you see, he's fucking calling me a liar.
Holy
Get out, Pat. You're a
shit.
fucking piece of shit,
OTW,
dude.
yeah.
You're insincere and you're a fucking piece of shit. That's your problem. See, Jack, they're not interested in the truth. They want to spread narratives and lies. I pride myself on being sober for my broadcast. It's one of the things I'm proud of.
Good for you.
Because it's not easy to
Dude,
come on
I
here
never
and do
ever-
this clear-minded sometimes. It's easy to escape with a beer and it's easy to escape with a joint. I do neither. You might want to take a little fucking hint from me, Pat. I'm sorry, Tariq. Go ahead. I might let Pat back up. Go ahead.
No. Z, I never ever. So that's a false narrative, and he's just saying that for the hell of it. Now,
No,
OTW
we didn't
is
hear what
still
you
on
said.
or not? Because that sounds so to him.
Your mic cut out. I didn't really get what you said there, Tariq.
All right, let me fix my phone. I'll be right back. I gotta get a better signal. I'm lagging again. Sorry.
It's not that bad, but it's just a little,
Yeah.
But what a weird thing to come on here and accuse me. So, and that's another thing, Jack, that
crazy.
Paul has done that many times to me. It's like when someone's in your face and they're bold-facingly accusing you of something you know is not true, and they support it. And the problem is when somebody does that to you, and that's why I got rid of him, and is once you start to try to justify yourself, you're just playing into their little game.
Yeah.
We just
The
lost
opposer.
somebody. I don't know who we just lost. Did we just lose somebody?
Lost Tarek.
I think it's because you make fun of him breaking open the cigarettes and rolling 15 joints or whatever.
No, what Patrick does, Benton, I have him down. It's one cigarette to 4 joints. So he uses a quarter of a cigarette per joint. That's
Yes.
his mix.
There you go.
And he cuts it. In the morning he cuts them with a fucking scissors. He cuts his cigarettes with scissors, unrolls them, and then rolls them up with his joint. So it's still mostly weed, but it's a quarter of a cigarette in every joint. Flow State seems like he wants to come back up. He seems fired up tonight.
Well, I was coming back up to unpack Pat some more. If
I'll let him
we're
back
going to
up.
take it that direction, because obviously,
Yeah, okay, go ahead, Flow State. I'm ready for you, bro.
obviously, the reason
Yeah.
that you're so angry and still have adrenaline isn't because of your job in the kitchen is adrenalized. It's because it's such a heavy lie for you to carry around, pretending like you haven't betrayed yourself by letting Paul shit down your throat for a year and acting like it's chocolate
Oh
syrup.
my God, you're still on that rap, Flow State? You fucking
It
you,
hasn't
you gotta
changed,
be
dude.
fucking kidding me, man. You are so wrong. It's insane.
You have the worst boundaries of anybody I've ever interacted with. How the
Dude.
fuck can you have any dignity for you? Don't respect
You're saying that to me? You're saying that to me?
You
You
actively
saying that to
help
me?
other men disrespect you on your own broadcast.
Dude, you
That would
obviously
make
you're a
me
fucking
furious
dimwit.
about
You don't see further than the tip of your nose. What can I say?
Explain to me what I'm missing in the dynamic here. Do you own any part of your own broadcast aside from the bill for StreamYard?
I own it all, everything. I do whatever I want with
Do you
my
get to
broadcast.
decide who comes on your panels?
Absolutely.
No, you fucking don't. No, you don't, because
Yes, I
I've been
do.
kicked off of your panel ever since you cut to Paul. You
see?
let me on.
Now
you
you're
let me
revealing
on,
yourself.
and then when
you're
he wakes up,
just
he
in your
comes and tells
feelers.
you how to
You're
run
in your
show.
feelers because my co-host kicks your ass off
See,
the fucking panel, and this is your issue, man. Your issue isn't with me, bro. Your issue is with Paul.
I don't
So go
have an
fix the
issue with
fucking
you.
problem
I'm
with Paul.
telling you about you.
Dude,
No.
I always let you up. I let everybody
You do
up.
let
I
me
don't
up. That's
prevent
why
anyone.
I'm using this as an
So
example
there you go.
of how you betray yourself.
A co-host comes up and you guys have issue with him, and that's fine. I like it. I liked that.
So let me ask the question again. Who's in charge of your show? What are you
I
in
am.
charge of?
I am absolutely 100% in charge of my show. I've always been.
Unless you are
And I've
not.
always, every choice, every
Everybody knows
decision
that
that I've made it
we've all
because
seen
I
you
thought
be
it was.
told who you can have up, where you can go.
Nobody's
blah,
ever
blah,
told
blah,
me
blah.
who I could have up. I've decided on my own who I want to fuck with. There's a difference.
No, you don't.
Yes.
Yes. If you decide that on your own, okay. Let me.
Come on, Flow State.
If
You're telling
somebody-
me if I had a choice between you and Paul, who would I fuck with?
That's not
Well,
the
I'm
choice.
sorry, Flow State,
You
but I'm
recognize
gonna
that
fuck with
you
Paul.
recognize it doesn't just happen to me. You recognize that when you're having a show, right, and you're talking to somebody, when Paul comes to your show and kicks off the person you're talking to without saying shit, he's shitting on your show. You recognize that, right? This is about
I don't believe
you
so,
shitting
because
on yourself.
at the same time, what you don't realize is when he shows up, it's not just my show; it's his show
That's
too.
exactly what I'm saying, dog.
But that's normal. He's my co-host. We kind of like fuse together. So
he's your boss.
It would be
boss.
detrimental. No, not my boss.
He's
You guys
your
are stupid.
boss. You do what he
because
says.
a boss. No, he doesn't act like a boss. He acts like a fucking leader. Yeah, that's it. You guys don't fucking see the difference
reason
between
that
a
he
leader
doesn't
and a
help
boss.
you-
He just
the reason
leads. He had more experience than I did in broadcasting. I let him do his shit because I learned from what he does, and I'm getting better at being a broadcast for it. So don't
This
give
is
me your
why
bullshit.
you blow up on people. This is why you're so angry.
This
That
is why
not a narrative to carry
This is
around with
why
you.
over a year I went from 12 people watching to almost 100 people. It's
And
not
stream
because
every fucking day.
it's not because I hung around fucking loser failures with only 3 people watching on their fucking broadcast.
Hey, Pat, if Paul leaves your broadcast, you still gonna have the 100 people watching?
I absolutely believe so. And I don't even understand why Paul would want to leave the broadcast anyway.
That's not the question I asked you.
It sucks.
But I
That,
answered the
that
question.
makes you delusional, Pat. You know that, right? Either you're lying or you're delusional. You have to understand that. You have to know that.
Okay,
So-
lying. How would I be lying?
Because you just have Paul's audience watching your broadcast every morning. That's all it is, Pat. Come on. Everybody here knows that.
Yeah.
Pat, if you don't know that, you're delusional.
See,
And I
this
don't
is
bel-
where you're
and I
all
don't believe-
delusional.
Actually, you might be delusional.
See, this
I
is
don't-
where you're all delusional because I'll tell you something, Z. You guys are crazy if you think that they're your audience. That's being
don't.
completely delusional. Don't tell me
Well,
I'm
listen.
delusional. I just consider anybody who's
Paul
watching
has
the
a
audience.
following. You see, Paul has a following, Pat. See, I'm going to put you backstage because you pissed me off. I'll let you back up if you don't run. I'll let you back up if you don't run. I'll let you back up if you don't run. All right, so here's the thing. This is when it becomes frustrating. So let's try not to look. He's obviously either delusional or not being honest with us. Because to deny that Paul has a dedicated following that follows him around, it's called the OTW and Paul Show. All right. OTW, you should just be sincere and say, yeah, I know it's Paul's audience. I love Paul. I'm dedicated to Paul, and I don't mind that it's his audience. But
He
don't
does
sit
mind.
here and fucking bullshit us, OTW. We all know what's going on. That's crazy. Because if Paul stopped going to your show and if Benton lost his mind again and had Paul camping out on his show, 90% of those people would switch right over to Benton's within 48 hours, Home Slice, and you know it and don't deny it. It doesn't make it good or bad, Pat, but don't fucking piss down our backs and tell us it's raining because it's not true. Go ahead, floor's open.
Benton?
Oh, sorry, I was no, I'm good.
Nobody asked you
Do your
anything.
thing. Do your thing. Benton, I'm gonna let Benton, much love. Say your final closing thoughts because I got some other people that want to come up and
Yeah, and just for the future, man, anytime I'm here, I'm probably driving, and you can just drop me off anytime. It's not a big deal. I've just
cool,
mainly been
man.
listening.
How are you, Benton? I mean, I know you're kind of like back doing your thing, just in general. Like, are things going well for you?
Yeah, man, I like to work, so that helps. I like money, so yeah. Good to see everybody.
All right, Ben. Much love. You take care of yourself.
All right, peace out.
Benton, everybody.
Well, I'll give a closing statement again, unless you're gonna bring him back up. And
I am. He's right here.
Oh, okay.
You're wrong, Z.
Well,
you're wrong. I'm telling you, you're wrong.
I'll give. People have said that all of my numbers only come from Paul, so I'll give OTW. I believe what he said. Working with Paul, he's probably been learning some things, and maybe he is developing, and he may have some people who are consistent and loyal to him as well. I wouldn't put that past. But OTW, man, dude. What's going on? I know this isn't about you and me, man, but from the beginning, from the first day I met you, you were yelling and screaming at me. Why? Because I was kind to Paul. And then you went so far the other way that now you're all up Paulie's butt.
See, now you're fucking forgetting what you did when you came over to We Are Awake TV, starting complaining about Paul, all right? And then go over to Paul and suck up to him in front of everybody. Then that's when I flipped.
I was there for that, and you're making shit up.
I am
That's not what Jack did.
I was fucking there. Zetetic Warrior fucking knows about the story about Jack because that's how he fucking found Paul. Because Jack showed up on We Are Awake TV, fucking complaining about Paul.
That's not how I found Paul. That's not how I found Paul.
That's how I found Paul.
All right, that's not how I found Paul.
I'm projecting. Sorry. All right, that's how I found Paul.
And OTW, one day you will learn that all this anger and vitriol you've been throwing my way, it was misplaced.
I don't believe so, man.
It has been.
Okay, man. I don't give a fuck. It's like
you should.
I don't think
you should care about the fact that you're disrespecting yourself and other good people.
I'm not gonna wear any white gloves for anybody, man.
Not what you
OTW, you should probably don't wear white gloves. Did you guys hear about OTW fucking getting nasty because he called me out? His daughter went on a stream and said that he had a nasty house. It smelled like piss and blah, blah, blah. And you know me, I'm a troll. So I said, oh, your own daughter said your house smells like it. And he's like, prove it. And we just watched it. And so I'm like, okay. So I go find the footage. The minute I find the footage about his daughter out of her own mouth saying that, yes, she don't go over there to cook.
Why did you
because
report
it's
him?
nasty and it smells like cat piss. He knew I had the footage, which he told me to find in the first
Why did you
place.
report him?
And because I had the footage and he was embarrassed, he went down the Nazi blog, blah, blah. OTW, you're up Paul's ass and you know
Why
it.
did you report him?
Well, because why do I he better start following policy and guidelines. He fucking obviously fucked up with sexual content. That's why YouTube struck his channel and he had to fix it. So that's on him. He was not following policy and guidelines.
Because you're a powerless tattle bitch and you're mad.
And you and what's funny is you and Z were defending pedograph. This is the only issue I have with you guys. Literally, while you sat next to Rose defending pedograph, do you know James Good, another journalist, established journalist, has been calling his optics out for his pedo optics?
Why do you keep saying other journalists like you're a journalist?
The minute
so
you
here's the
guys
thing,
sit in
Snafu.
with live,
We're having
crying
a
about
conversation
being
tonight.
exposed.
Look, we have a topic, and you just took it to a weird place.
Well, no, Paul. As far
What
as
do you
OTW,
have?
he
What
does
do you have
Paul's
to
ass.
contribute to tonight's topic?
Yeah, OTW is definitely up Paul's ass. We all see it.
I agree with that.
Like he's a
That goes
coward.
without-
Dude.
goes without
OTW.
saying.
Yeah.
Goes without saying. Look, if
Snafu.
OTW wants to make an alliance with somebody, he can make an alliance with somebody. But he's insincere when he's saying about his audience. Because
He's
we
about
know
that money though.
if Patrick and Paul had a falling out, Patrick would lose 80% of his audience instantaneously.
Oh.
That does not a knock against you, Pat. It's just reality, dude.
Let's just be real. His broadcast is boring, dry. He all he does is restream other people. He doesn't know how to create content. At least Flo, as much as I give Flo, he creates his own content. Fucking even you, Z. Even Jack Talcott's learning to get there. You know, you've been on a loop too, Jack. You're starting, don't look.
Snafu,
Oops,
the content
sorry.
critic.
I hit the wrong button, Snafu. I muted you. I was trying to lower your mic.
Jack looks at me like he's fucking whatever. Jack, you've been on that You're kind of in OTW's position too, but see, Jack, you've been using them all. You're like OTW, but instead of like sucking up to one person, you're sucking up to them all.
All right, see, that's accusations, that's belief, that's conjecture. See, people come up with narratives and they run with narratives. It's they get an idea in their mind and they just run with it. I'm noticing that
You
more and
don't
more
see Jack
about
sucking
people.
up to the people. He was just over at Paul sucking up, and now he's talking shit about Paul.
No, see,
Same with
it's
you.
not
Weren't you
talking
over there
shit.
just yesterday, being cool with them.
I wasn't at Paul's. I haven't been to Paul's channel in 6
He
to
was here,
7
right?
months.
He was on your channel.
Paul came to my channel. I have an open panel. I didn't want to exclude him. I think he was reaching out to me in his dysfunctional way. That's why I'm having this discussion right now. I'm having a sincere discussion. I appreciate what you said, but I'm going to let you go because I'm trying to have a sincere discussion. You're just making claims.
Wait, let me ask you this. Why have you switched? Because I watched a little of you and Paul's interaction yesterday. I thought you and him left off on good terms.
We are still on good terms. See, this is Jack, people really don't understand. Paul came to my channel, okay, and I had an interaction with Paul. What does that have to do with anything, dude?
Okay, well, for instance,
I don't understand how what you're
guys-
saying is mutually exclusive. Frankly, I was surprised that Paul came to my channel, if you want to know the truth. I'm surprised Paul won't let any of this go, Snafu, if you really want to know the truth. Anybody who's watching this knows that I'm doing Z show and my topics are not about Paul. If somebody comes up and mentions Paul, somebody mentions Paul, dude. All right, so the point is, Paul's the one who's not letting this go. I wanted to have the conversation starting with Jack and then open it up to have a sincere discussion about Paul. That's plain and simple, dude. You could make a narrative about you. What in your mind, Paul came here and then we're kumbaya or whatever, dude. That's
Well,
your
I didn't
mind.
watch the full thing, but I thought you guys ended up like on good terms.
We had a nice interaction. And I'm having a sincere discussion about Paul. How do those things contradict? They only contradict in your mind because your mind is one of conflict. That's the only problem that you don't understand this. We're having a rational discourse about somebody.
Okay, let me ask you an honest question, Z. That's your thoughts. Okay, you and I get what you're saying there. But when you have people like Flo and Jack who actually have agendas and vendettas against Paul,
There you go. You just claimed agenda. You just claimed vendetta. You claimed.
You don't think
Snafu,
Flo and
do you
Jack
know
have
you can't
agendas
evidence?
against
I
Paul?
got to let him go
Come on.
because I'm screaming and I haven't screamed one time tonight. I got to let you go.
You've done good. You've done good.
I gotta let you. I gotta let you go. And OTW won't come up if you're not here. Here's the thing. I'm not going to sit here and scream. I went all night without doing it. I'm not doing it. But again, he doesn't understand. When you claim vendetta and you claim agenda, that's in your mind. Whether or not that's true, Snafu, you can't prove. I'm tired of people making false claims. All right, let's just let Pat up. Maybe calm down.
All right. Now, I've had time to think, and I want to tell you, you know what? I believe it's jealousy on behalf of all of you. And I'll explain why.
We're jealous.
And I'll explain why.
Hold on, Pat. Why, Pat,
I
why
can't
is it?
explain.
Hold
Don't
on,
get
and I'll
it.
let you. Of course, I'll let you go, Pat. But I want you to answer this question. You know I'm not up Paul's ass. You know I don't want nothing to do with him or you. You fucking know that, Pat. So for you to come up and say jealousy, you're fucking bullshit. I'm putting you in the back again for being insincere. Again, Again, you can't fucking be honest for one night. You can't be honest for one fucking night. We can go back to the loop tomorrow. You're fucking insincere, man. It's unbelievable.
Just like a
He's
child, you can
become
give
part
him
of
credit
that
for
mental
treating you.
mentality.
What was that, Joe Moore? I'm sorry.
It's part of mob mentality over there. So that chaos creates that. You lose structure, and that's what you get, that chaos, right? You've built your channel off some structure. You have some content. You try to stay focused on whatever the topic is. You don't go veering off and then start making total fun of your listeners or, belittling people.
I'm not going to try to
feel better.
Look,
That's all you
I
have.
understand. Joe Moore, you're making a fair point, but I'm not going to presume to tell another man how to run their broadcast. I'll talk about mine. You're right. I have a formula. I come in, I do a monologue, then an intro, then I go to chat, then I go to my topics, then I go to the open panel, and then I go to the news. Okay. It helps me stay focused. If things get crazy, there's always another segment to come up. I'm not going to tell Paul how to do his broadcast, but I notice he doesn't have the same structure. But that's the way he wants to run it. But I do agree that it does lead to the looping behavior. It leads to some of this dysfunctional shit that we're seeing, and I don't think it's really helping him in the end, regardless. So you make a fair point.
Well, he had me up on his broadcast today, and evidently, from what I heard him say, they like dox me or something and couldn't find anything about me, right? So I don't know if Officer Snafu did that, but evidently
he does
they
everybody,
failed
and
to
Patrick's
find anything.
enabling him. Joe, Snafu
Since
doxed
they can't
me.
find anything, they consider me somehow a failure, right? So I'm not this big tycoon or a big CEO or something. So I'm not this big labeled up slave. I've gone through this to make it so people can't find me. So actually, I'm doing my job. I don't want to be. I prefer privacy. That's why I know you never see me come up. It's not until he starts bullying people like Scott and all these other people that I went up and let them know that, hey, I don't like that, right? But I did it through Jack's channel because he'll mute your mic when you try and have any dialogue with him. And then he just talks over you.
You got to consider who's calling you a loser, though, and then just realize that it's silly to even.
Well, feeding into it.
I want to get back to what Patrick said. Patrick claimed that we're all jealous of Paul. Pat, that's couldn't be further from the truth for me, and I don't think it's for these two gentlemen either, Pat. That's just way off the mark. It's a convenient narrative for Paul to pitch to his listeners to place him in a particular position. Paul seems to like to play the victim. He goes out and perpetrates and then claims victim. That's why I said, ironically, he is the most feminine amongst us, even though outwardly he appears the most masculine. His voice is the most masculine. His body frame is the most masculine, okay? But his emotions and his psychology is ironically the most feminine. Nobody's jealous of Paul, Pat. That's patently not true, dude. Paul's an instigator. Paul wants all this. If I had it my way, Pat, you wouldn't be here and Paul wouldn't have been here last night. I'm not looking for you guys. That's the weird part. It's very strange to me that it's they that are continuing with this. It's they that are pushing to the point that I'm having this tonight because it's been like a year, guys.
It's been a long time.
And what's happening is I do think that I'm going to speak for myself. I'm approaching it like this because I don't want things to go bad. And I think if they continue, they're going to go bad. They're going to go in a bad direction for people. And I think we have a chance to do better. We can proactively produce a different energy with this whole thing. So this isn't like LARPing. It's like, Paul, like you say a lot of inflammatory things, like you're LARPing with guns, dude. Like you're all LARPing with like heavy fucking artillery and like a bunch of angry people who are looking for action, dude. And that's why I say you're reckless. I truly believe, Paul, you're reckless with your words.
I've heard people mention offline, that they could easily see Paul getting himself harmed by the arrogance, by the I don't know how much of this he actually plays out in the real world. I could see him being real paranoid and running around, trying, always looking over his shoulder like there's a big crowd out to get him. But I don't think it's real. And the idea that we're jealous of him, I have sympathy. I feel bad for him. He's obviously confused. He appears quite lonely.
Yeah.
Real angry. And I think he's missing out on a lot of joy and a lot of opportunities. Maybe it's just me that is.
All right, Emilios, what do you have for us? We're going to wind this down.
Hey, I know that, Z, and I thank you for letting me back up. It's kind of reminiscent, and OTW was up here, and I'm not trying to rehash something of the old, but the history is kind of important, Z, because you were semi there, not there. It was kind of weird because if you remember all the insanity that had ensued when they used to, I would say almost gang stalk Ian's channel. Do you remember that? That was absolutely insane.
Emilios, I was intimately involved in all of that, dude. To say
I know, I was there too, Z.
Right,
if you remember, but do you remember how they used to like gang stalk Ian's channel? Ian's channel had nothing to do with Paul's. So looking at how Paul used to behave then versus now, he has softened up a bit. So
he's lost power.
I don't think so. Flow Straight, come on.
He has, absolutely. So. In the last year, his viewers have dropped to a third. His panels have gone dead. Anyways, go ahead.
I don't know, but my point is that was insane, and judging how he used to act then versus now, I think he has softened his approach, and I think he is doing that, and I think we all want to see him improve because we see such immense genius in him.
I don't know if we all see that. I don't know if Flow State would agree, but I
was going to say Flow State's not going to agree.
What was it? Sorry, I zoned out for a second. I didn't hear the claim.
You keep zoning out there.
Well, I was looking at the chat, but run it by me again.
Just to reiterate, because I saw TW came in pretty hot, but just to reiterate, I think everybody sees a genius and a high emotional intelligence with Paul that is just beyond his years for sure.
Yeah,
and we all want to see him improve and maybe soften the load a little bit and structure his show a lot better. I know you would. Oh, he's beyond stupid. Come on.
He's not stupid. I wouldn't call him a genius.
But
I would say his emotional intelligence is absolutely abysmal, actually. But I would like to.
I know why you say that. When I
Paul would be better, right? And then everybody would be better off.
Did you watch yesterday's show, Flow State?
No, I didn't see anything yesterday.
Okay, so he does have a high emotional intelligence because he was able to easily control himself. And what I said, behave, it triggered him today. And he knew how to behave and read the room correctly. He came in a little hot a couple of times, but he toned it back.
Right, and that's what I basically said because
do you remember that, Z?
Yeah, and what I'm gonna let Flow State and Emilius Man go so Jack and I can kind of wind this down. I could move on to the news.
Thank you, Z.
All right, much love.
Bye-bye.
Flo, anything?
I don't think. Oh yeah, my final. I had some and I lost them. So, anyways, good show. Even though you did yell at OTW, you can still count it a win for the yelling.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. All right, much love, Flo. I want to address what Emilius Man said and just say this is that I want to reiterate what I said, Jack, is that I saw Paul coming here as his own attempt to reach out for something. Now we can conjecture and say, oh, Paul sees maybe Z is, looking at a little bit of an upswing and he's feeling a certain way about it. We don't know what's in his mind. I actually think much of his motivation is him trying to reach out for brotherhood and camaraderie, and he just doesn't know how to do it, and it's misplaced and dysfunctional. But I'm choosing to look at his intentions as that. I see Paul as I see beyond the facade, Jack. I see beyond the facade, and I see somebody who probably feels very isolated and is trying to find his way and deal with that feeling. He's trying to take on the world, and I could relate with that because I'm doing the same damn thing. And I think Jack, and I think you are too, and I think that's Paul's biggest problem is I look at you and I see me, and I look at Paul and I see me. I see people who are being vulnerable and fearless in a way that is not typical. And I recognize that in Paul and you, but he doesn't see, I don't think he sees the same in either of us. I think he sees himself in that, and he looks at us in a lesser way. And he's very wrong about that, because what you and I are doing are no less courageous than Paul. And that's me being fair. All right. He just doesn't see it like that, likely. And I think that's why he feels justified in his behavior, because it's not just shtick, man. He brings it to the real world. He brings it out of the environment, and his behaviors are beyond the pale. And that's what people need to understand about the situation. There's real life consequences here. All right. So there's stuff I don't tell you guys. There's real life stuff that happens to me that I don't tell you guys. All right. Go ahead, Jack.
Hey, brother, what you're saying, yes, you and I, thank you. You articulate what I'm seeing very well. And you do. You've got very great insight and excellent communication skills. I see a brother, right? I see another man who is like me, like you, and we are stepping out, standing out a little bit differently than others, very similar to others, but different than others as well. But here's a thought that I was just thinking regarding the three of us, brother. You walked away from years of dedication and sacrifice through academia in order to gain the profession and title that you did achieve. You sacrificed and studied and invested and committed yourself to achieve, and you walked away from it. Me, I dedicated over 20 years, a couple of decades of loyalty and service, commitment to my union brothers and sisters, to the employer that I used to have, the public sector job that I valued in the idea that I was serving others. I walked away from it. I mean, it walked away from me more so, but Paul hasn't. I know he's been in the tent. I know he's spent some time in a jail, but he doesn't know. And the way he continually looks down on people like you, me, and many others, it's unfortunate. But the other side is, like you said, Z, I didn't realize how much, but you did. You walked away and you were ready for that door to be closed, moved on. He continued. He showed up last night, and I think you're right. It was his clumsy way of doing it. But,
yeah, great. So, Jack, thank you for this. This went very well, and I don't care what anybody really says about it. For me, this went well, and I hope it was a positive experience for you too, Jack.
It was. If I can offer, I want to invite, yes, if someone's going to do the news with you, or let the energy change, man. I love what you were suggesting. And I want to thank you for letting me be a part of this. I felt it was important, and I feel it is relevant. And I'm glad that you set the time aside. It shows your care.
All right, Jack, much love. Mr. Jack Talcott. Check him out, everybody. That's his name right there, Jack Talcott. That's his YouTube channel. Much love, Jack.
All right. Peace, brother.
Although we all know Jack. All right, let me get to the news. Let me bring up a guest. I see you back there. Hold on. I'm going to bring up a guest to do the news. Let me get rid of this. Lindsay, welcome to the show.
Hello. I'm no replacement for the lovely Rose, but I chose a picture for like a thirst trap thing just to entertain you.
Oh,
So
and
let's go.
And that entertains me. Well, you and Rose coincidentally have the same name, spelled the
I
same
know,
and
it's cool.
everything. So maybe it's it was all meant to be. All right, let's do the news. You can give me your honest and fair take on the news, and I'll try my hardest not to simp for you. I can't promise anything, but I'm going to try.
Or put me down. You gonna call me stupid again?
I don't know. It depends on what you say about the news.
Okay.
I'll do my
try.
best not to. I mean, I invited you up here, so it's only proper that I act in a cordial fashion. I think everybody
All right,
can
let's
agree
go.
with it. What did you think about the show tonight, Lindsay? A little bit of different show tonight, but
I
I'd
don't
like to
think
hear
it
your
went the
thoughts.
way you wanted it to, but I think it got many views. So maybe there's a blessing in disguise here.
All right. So, what do you mean? How do you conjecture that I would want it to go?
I think you meant it mostly as a peaceful, efficacious way of maybe helping him improve himself. And it turned into kind of a drama festival. So either you planned that and you're Diablo and it went very well, or you didn't plan it and it kind of didn't go so well, or maybe both.
Heidi's advising me to keep it together with you up here, to not lose it and get all because my audience gets turned off. If I start to simp and stuff, they don't like it. I can understand why. I wouldn't want to hear somebody slobber all over these women. I get it, but
Well, you do it to all of us, so I think we're all kind of used to it.
Yeah,
No?
fair enough. But
Okay.
moving forward, I probably should try better. Heidi's right.
I just kind of went along with it.
I need to keep it together. All right, everybody. It's time for news. In tonight's top story, Trump calls on Alabama to protect IVF treatment after bombshell ruling. Former President Trump voiced support Friday for preserving access to in vitro fertilization treatments in the wake of a controversial Alabama court ruling that frozen embryos are people. Under my leadership, the Republican Party will always support the creation of strong, thriving, healthy American families. We want to make it easier for mothers and fathers to have babies, not harder. This includes supporting the availability of fertility treatments like IVF in every state in America, Trump wrote on Truth Social. All right, so here's my take on this. This idea of in vitro fertilization, yes, it provides a accessible means for struggling or couples that are struggling to conceive to start a family of their own, a biological family. But I will say this, Lindsay, I do know that oftentimes these embryos, they are frozen, and there is an alarming number of unclaimed and abandoned frozen embryos that still exist. The couples break up, they get divorced, somebody dies. It becomes very contentious over these embryos. So this to me is not a cut and dry case. There's no easy answer for this. So I do support people being able to start their families. But at the same time, I do think there's a problem with these embryos. And if you do the research, you'll find an alarming amount of these embryos that are unclaimed and just basically left in the hands for so-called science to do what they will with. Lindsay, your thoughts?
Do you think it's unethical for science to use, say, stem cell technology, embryonic stem cell technology?
I do find it to be ethically problematic for many reasons. Now, I can definitely admit that there are short-term, obvious medical benefits to stem cell technology, but I think we have to weigh that against the cost. At what cost are we endeavoring into these types of medical technologies? What are we doing to our morality, our principles? All right. And the other thing, there's a lot of children and babies that are in need of homes. There's a lot of children that are in need of families. So I would beg the question, if a couple, if a husband and wife or a couple are unable to conceive, what is this compulsion for these extreme artificial measures? Go ahead, Lindsay.
It's kind of egomaniacal, I guess, a little bit, because you want, your own progeny instead of somebody else's, and you don't really know what you're going to get. You don't know that there's this big case about a guy who used to be in a mental hospital, and he lied and said that he was perfectly healthy in every single way there is, and took all their tests, and ended up giving like 17 people babies and contributing sperm to give 17 different couples babies. And the babies had all kinds of authority issues, anti-authority personality disorder kind of stuff, like troublesome. And they sued him. They had to sue him because the babies all had characteristics like he did. They were just, people said there's obviously problems with the babies.
Right. So he was being deceptive, and that's the issue, is that how can you trust anybody in these things? Lindsay, even these doctors aren't trustworthy. Many doctors were providing their own sperm for these type of treatments. Very strange.
So we're dealing with an ego issue here, both on the doctors' point of the doctors and both on the point of the patients. And you made a good point, which is a lot of kids remain unadopted and uncared for. But also there's the factor of the government interfering with people's bedrooms too. That is a little bit weird.
Good points.
People's bedrooms and personal lives.
Good points. From the AP, private U.S. spacecraft is on its side on the moon with some antennas covered up, the company says. A private U.S. lunar lander tipped over at touchdown and ended up on its side near the moon's south pole, hampering communications, company officials said Friday. Intuitive Machines initially believed its 6-foot lander, Odysseus, was upright after Thursday's touchdown. But CEO Steve Altemus said Friday the craft caught a foot in the surface, falling onto its side and quite possibly leaning against a rock. He said it was coming in too fast and may have snagged a leg. So far, we have quite a bit of operational capability, even though we're tipped over, he told reporters. All right, Lindsay. Well, it's no surprise what the Z take is going to be on this. I don't feel as though space as presented is realistic. Now, are there other lands? Are there other dimensions? I don't know. To me, that's something we can argue about. But the idea that the moon that we see in the sky and that they are, we've sent men there 6 times in the late 60s and early 70s. And now we have not only multiple nations sending these crafts to the moon, but also these quote unquote private companies and these private industries. I don't buy any of it. To me, it is a big deception and a huge lie. And most people will hand wave dismiss my understandings because they cannot grasp the magnitude of such a lie and what it would mean if such a lie were perpetrated. What are your thoughts?
I want to know the actual benefit to lying about all of this. And secondly, I want to know why global positioning systems work if the globe is flat. But you said that takes a long time to explain, so you might not have to answer that one.
All right. So the first question you said, so are you asking me? You're asking me what I think, why the lie, and about GPS?
Personally, what do you think the motive is behind the lies? What do they have to benefit or gain from?
All right. So here's what I usually say to people. I don't know because I'm not them. People typically lie because, like you said, they have something to gain or something to protect. That's typically why people lie. If I were to guess why they're lying, it's a couple of reasons. One, because I feel like we live in a creation where there's a God who created us, whoever that is. I think that they present science as such, including the space presentation, to obscure the creator and the creation. All right. Because if you believe in space as presented, it becomes very difficult to believe in a God or any God that would have any influence over you or your life. God then becomes a distant God. I think one of the main reasons they could lie is to present a particular narrative, a particular paradigm about what reality is, to obscure its true nature, therefore giving them dominance and control. All right. Now, your second question about GPS, it's called GPS. Some people say global positioning systems. Other people say ground positioning systems, but you're assuming you're assuming certain things about its functioning, regardless of what it's called. We know that we have this technology where we can basically use to track ourselves geographically. Now, the means and mechanisms behind that technology could be a lot of things. Whether it's
just a minute, a pedantic little question here. If I were the other Lindsay, I would probably look it up and see if it stands for Global Positioning System or what
ground. But it's regardless of whatever they call it. It's really what is the technology and how does it function? The name really is not.
Okay.
I mean, they say we live on a globe. Does that make it a globe? You can call anything anything.
It's based on some technology that starts with an L. Do you know what it is that I'm thinking of? Global Positioning Systems are the technology
used to be called the Lorraine system.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. I studied all this stuff. It used to be called the Lorraine system, and it was ground positioning. That was done by ground towers. All right. Now, we could argue whether it's all ground towers or there's things in the sky, but I would just say that just to assume that the only way to have devices in the sky that are used for this, to assume that the only way to do that is by blasting a rocket into zero-G space, I think is short-sighted. Because in reality, there's many ways that you can have things in the sky that can be used to position things on the ground, even assuming that it is aerial technology. All right, so that's what I'll.
You really worked all this out in your head.
I've been in this. Yeah, I've been doing this for a while. I'm a flat earther, Lindsay. That's a real thing. Yeah. So when people are like me, this isn't like, oh, like we think it's a fun idea. People like me, and you have to, like, I'm sure now being around like my channel, you could identify like the ones that are like me, right? And
to an extent, yeah.
Yeah. And it's basically a person who's come to an understanding that there's been a huge lie perpetrated about our what's called cosmology and our world in general. All right. Now, people who think like me, the ones who are the quote unquote flat earthers, we see it so very clearly. All right. That doesn't mean we're right.
I understand
now,
where you're going.
We all see a certain thing. We see a lie. All right. Now, we know it's a goofy topic. We know it's silly to talk about to a certain mindset. But I always say this. We're not the ones who lied. We're not the ones who made this silly deception, right? We're the ones that are just very aware of it. And when a certain type of person like me and the others like me, when we see this lie, it becomes very central to our life to basically present our information to other people, because once we present our information, then at least we can be sure that a person goes from being ignorant to then willfully ignorant if they choose not to see it, right?
It's a little bit of a dogmatic attitude, but I understand if you think you're right or you know you're right, you're right. Versus, Big Bang Theory, poof, there's a zebra. It sure holds a lot more weight than that kind of thing does. So
really, hold on. You're saying that the creation holds more weight than Big Bang.
No.
Is that what you're saying?
Oh, that the fact that there's a God works a lot better than a Big Bang Theory that poof, there's a zebra. You know how people always joke about that? That the
Right.
elements in the periodic table got together somehow and there was a Big Bang and we have Earth all of a sudden.
Right. But you have to understand something, Lindsay. The globe and all that stuff about space and Big Bang, they're the same thing. They're the same conversation.
Okay.
Once there's no globe, there's no more Big Bang.
All right. You have to talk kind of down to me and slow and use fewer syllables. Thank you for that.
What?
That made you giggle. Let's move on, okay?
Yeah, you ready to move on?
You completely win that one.
Well, it's not win, but you asked me a question, so I answered.
I know. Thank you for answering that.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your attraction towards me right now? You could be honest. God, be honest. Be honest for my audience.
How is this moving on? You do this to all the chicks. Heidi told me, ask her. Look in the text.
I'm guessing it's probably around a 7, borderline 8 right now. Just right now. It might change tomorrow. It might be 3 tomorrow. But right now it's like 7 or 8.
I really haven't thought about it. I just kind of thought about I'm talking to a person that is intelligent.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on. I'll let you off.
Yeah.
I'll let you off the hook.
Okay, thanks. Great. Phew.
From the Washington Post, Florida Surgeon General defies science amid measles outbreak. As a Florida elementary school tries to contain a growing measles outbreak, the state's top health official is giving advice that runs counter to the science and may leave unvaccinated children at risk of contracting one of the most contagious pathogens on Earth, clinicians and public health experts say. The Florida Surgeon General, Joseph A. Ladapo, failed to urge parents to vaccinate their children or keep unvaccinated students home from school as a precaution in a letter to parents at the Fort Lauderdale area school this week following 6 confirmed measles cases. Now, here's what I'll say here, Lindsay. I remember this guy during the whole COVID thing. Remember, Florida is Governor DeSantis. Florida was kind of not going along with the whole COVID story. This Surgeon General was catching a lot of flack from the quote unquote science community about his stance towards vaccines and that topic. Here we are again, similar topic, different circumstance. Now it's measles. All right. Now, I am not pro pharma. I am not pro pharmakia, and I'm not pro inoculation. I actually think these vaccines and inoculations actually do more harm than good. In every
Is that why you lost your job?
In
as
every
as an audiologist because of that stance?
The short answer, yes.
Okay.
Correct. That's the short answer. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Correct. I was there for the whole thing when everything happened in April of 2020. I was an essential worker. I was there every day. And then the first week of January 2021, when they launched the hokey pokey for COVID, things really turned on me and for me in a big way. It's a long story, but that's the basics of it. So yeah, you were correct. So so here we are with this Florida Surgeon General again under scrutiny. And the one thing I want to point out, and I'll kick it to you, is they always say the state's top official is giving advice that runs counter to science, right? See, they just say counter to science as if science is personified, as if the science is closed. See, this is when the authority figure, the government, and these control organizations start to define what science is without actually using the scientific method. Because the reality is there's a lot of scientists and doctors that would agree with the Surgeon General. They're just silenced and you don't hear them. And the research that goes counter to the narrative is suppressed and unsupported because most experiments, studies, and research is financed by and approved by the big pharma companies. So it's a skewed system. So to call it science is the misnomer and the deception. Go ahead, your thoughts.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I'm a science lover. Sorry for that. And I used to look at it like the magnum opus authority. You know, once science has said this, or scientists or people that are extremely brilliant and they're together in a think tank, and I picture them in lab coats, once they say something, it's as true as you can get. It's 98% true, or as close as you can get to truth. But since I've been chatting on in here in general, people have kind of pointed out that that's a little bit of it's kind of a delusional thinking, and I can understand that. But I still have the contention that, you know what, these people are way smarter, way more experienced, and completely enmeshed in this field. Why would I presume to know more than? Here comes the fallacy part.
Okay. So right, because you're using a logical fallacy. It's called an appeal to authority.
Yes.
In reality,
yes.
Somebody's position as an authority figure does not do anything to prove or disprove a fact or a claim or otherwise. See, that's the thing.
It's one of the, well, I guess there's like 11 fallacies. So I've questioned myself on that, but at the same time, I'm stuck because science has helped me and helped others in life so much. It's really, it's helped many of us to live and not die. So
right. Science is a good thing when science is left to be science. Science is a method of discovery. Science is a means to elucidate the cause of an effect that we can observe
it's an
in
educated
reality.
Guess.
So,
but then there's the God factor. We don't know how much of that is involved either. So we're at a bunch of things here that we don't know and can't prove for certain, except for that you say you can prove that the earth is flat. Minus that one.
Well, if anything, here's the thing, Lindsay, if anything can prove something, it's science. That's what science is. The only way to prove something is science. Yes. That's the method that we have.
And all your patients were helped through science. So
well, see, that's the rub, but I always beg the question. It's not science, it's technology. Yes, you're right.
Call it technology.
It's science. It's science that likely informs the technological process. But it's the technology. It's the technology, because science isn't a thing. It's a method. So science can't help anything. Science doesn't do anything. It's a practice. It's a methodology. And that's the problem.
Again and again with the same results, more likely than something that isn't scientifically based. So that's
correct. That's what science is. There's always repeatability. And I agree. Science is what's used to prove things. So you and I can agree on that.
Yes.
You've brought up your health condition to me a couple times. Is that something you want to go more into, or are you not comfortable with that?
Hell no.
Okay. Okay.
No, I'm not. I'm not feeding. What's that phrase in the Bible? Something about swine and pearls.
Right. You don't want to cast your pearls before swine.
No offense to some of you, but yeah, pretty much.
Are you calling my listeners swine?
Well, some of them use your, I don't know, things that that take guts to say, and your vulnerabilities and your anything they can to attack, and they repeat it and they love it. So some of them are swine, some of them are cool. I'll just take the fifth on this one.
Fair enough.
But yes, science has helped me very, very much.
Good stuff.
Great stuff.
And that'll do it for today's news. And that'll do it for another episode of Z Show. Lindsay, any final thoughts for the audience?
Yes, I wish everyone in here much love, and remember not to make too many assumptions about people because they're not always true, as we've seen today. And the question is, do you give the person the benefit of the doubt or not? Z here is trying to give Paul the benefit of the doubt. I think that's very nice. Do you guys think it's stupid or smart move? Or neither? What do you think?
Thank you, Lindsay.
Okay,
Much
much
love.
Much love.
That was actually a great appearance by Lindsay. It was a good job. I thought that was really good. Nice stuff. All right, everybody. That'll do it for another Z week. It's Friday. That'll do it. We'll be back Monday. If the fates are willing, we'll be back Monday with another Z week. And we do this every weekday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Zetetic Warrior YouTube channel. All right, everybody. As they say, parting is such sweet sorrow. So let's not say goodbye. Just farewell for now. All right, everybody. Bye-bye.